rivalry is, or certainly was considered, the most famous in hockey. Montreal versus Toronto. But seldom have the Canadiens arrived at Maple Leaf Gardens with one win in their last 9 games. And that's the case tonight. And as the Leaf team that they'll be playing has struggled in recent years, it seems no low point is out of the Leafs' reach this season. Last night, they were trampled 11-2 in Washington. The question tonight as the Canadiens and the Leafs resume their legendary rivalry is, will there be some special feeling that could, as nothing else has done, lift one of these teams or both out of the doldrums? Coach Bob Barry of the Canadiens and Mike Nicoluk of the Leafs have cast hopeful votes in the affirmative. And so do we. For the first of 3 times this season, it is the Montreal Canadiens against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Hodge. Apart from any other problems faced by the Maple Leafs, they will be without their 2 top performers tonight. Their top forward, John Anderson, and their top defenseman, Boreas Salming, out of the lineup with injuries. Let's have our commentators introduce themselves now with comments on the 2 teams involved.
The Montreal Canadiens are struggling of late. For a main reason, look no further than the goals against. They had a 2.72 goals against average their first 25 games. In their last 3, they've been scored upon 18 times. Mistakes back of their own blue line. The main reason the Canadiens are winless in their last 5 games.
It has been a very unpredictable season for the Maple Leafs. Last night they were humiliated in Washington, and there isn't any player that enjoys embarrassing losses. So you would think that tonight the Leafs would really go out there with reckless abandon. The big question is, will they?
No matter what, this is one of these classic matchups where a coach need not worry about motivating his players. Just like you at home, we're all up tonight. The Leafs and the Canadiens, and that's usually tough to top.
And there is only one thing left to say, and that is that Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in just a moment. How the Montreal Canadiens are in the NHL's toughest division with Buffalo, Boston, and Quebec ahead of them. Lately, the Leafs are starting to think that there's nothing easy about their Norris division, with St. Louis and Detroit winning on Thursday night, with the Winnipeg Jets tying here on Wednesday and then tying the Canadiens on Friday night. The Leafs are in some danger of falling very much out of the playoff race if those teams continue to do well, and if the Leafs cannot snap out of it and at least string a couple of wins together, something they have been unable to do all season long. We're ready for the start of this Canadiens-Leafs game, and now let's go to the gondola.
Good evening, everyone. There are the officials for tonight's game. In his 948th game, Bruce Hood is the referee. Ron Finn, 13th season in the league, and Bob Hodges entering his 10th. Richard Sevigny is the starting goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. And Bunny Larocque will start for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Larocque has yet to win a game this season for Toronto.
Bob, I think this is the first time Bunny has played against the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think he even faced them in exhibition play. Bunny playing with the Canadiens, of course, for several years, 8 full seasons. And here he is tonight facing them. Gary, he's got to be up.
Yes, absolutely. And remember that he hasn't played since November the 28th. That was against Buffalo. We had a look at Bob Barry, and you wonder, Dick, the pressure that's on him in Montreal for this losing streak that the Canadiens are on.
And the game underway. Robinson's clearing pass in on the wing. Acton, rebound! And Lafleur was stopped. Another shot is knocked down, and the Canadiens come out flying. A penalty coming up.
How about Bunny Larocque? That all happened in 14 seconds.
Yeah, but did you notice the way he stood there? He stayed on his skates, stood tall, no flopping, and that's the reason that he came up with those saves. But the Canadiens didn't waste any time coming out of the box. Boom, 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 boom.
You know, they shot it right at him. He moved the leg a little bit on the Acton shot, then Lafleur, then Robinson again right at him. And on the process, we've got Boyne struck with a penalty at 14 seconds. Canadiens, 3 shots on goal. Now they got a power play.
Well, Bunny Larocque likes nothing better than the challenge of playing against his former teammates. He was anxious to get that call tonight. He played very effectively in Washington once he was put in the game. So if that start is indication what we're in store for.
Vano goes back to the net for Toronto, trying to clear it out of the zone. The Leafs will move it out now. It's slammed down the ice, and here comes Lafleur. The Canadiens on a power play. And they stormed out right at Bunny Larocque as they dropped it in at center ice, and here they are now with the extra man. Lapointe shoots, and Larocque stopped that and fell on it right away. Dick and Gary, Larocque is serving notice that he's having a hot night.
What they do last night in Washington, 11-2 at the end of 2. They call a truce, Gary, in the third period?
They must have. I like the way the Canadiens moved out of their zone, a couple of quick passes. Setting up Lapointe on that shot. But again, you notice the position of Larocque. That wasn't a very difficult shot to handle, though.
Now Lapointe from the blue line took a shot, hit a leg. And 5 gets an opportunity to clear it right away. 70 covers up. That's Lapointe, and he has been playing great hockey for the Canadiens of late. Up on the wing, Shutt coming in. Shutt tried to go in. Acton is helping him. That's Acton trying to center it. And it's called, and we get another penalty called now, the first minute of play of this hockey game. From Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, this is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
The whole world's turning turtle. Turtles just for fun. They turning turtle all around, 'cause turtles are the best they found, with chocolate and caramel, crunchy pecan nuts as well. The reason isn't hard to guess why turtles taste the best. The whole world's turning turtle. 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 The whole world's turning turtle.
Play just underway now on the Canadiens. Starting out, they're 5 aside. The penalty to Steve Shutt of Montreal. Tremblay is coming in. He's upended and falls. Robert had checked on him. Now the Leafs. A long pass to Sittler from Melrose. And they get no further than the Montreal blue line. There's Tremblay looking for it, but icing is called against Canadiens.
Well, the penalty to Steve Shutt was for interference. He was penalized with 1:14 left in the Boinstruck penalty, so Shutt is off with a minute left to serve right now. Make that 1:29. Gary, the Canadiens involved in some uncharacteristic games for them. 5-5 last night in Winnipeg, 6-6 in Minnesota Wednesday. And the wheels have come off them defensively.
Dick, you had mentioned that a lot of their turnovers are, they're not even harassed by opposing forwards. It's just carelessness. They're not having a look, making those passes out of the zone, and consequently coughing up that puck. And as you mentioned, that is not the Montreal Canadiens.
40 seconds now left in the Maple Leaf penalty. 1:23 in the penalty to Steve Shutt of Montreal. Engblom takes it in front of the net for Canadiens. And here he is up to center ice with Risebrough hitting the line. That pass is chopped over the boards at the Leaf bench.
Well, Bob Barry tonight, a bit of a surprise perhaps. Pierre LaRouche not in uniform. I thought he had a pretty good game last night in Winnipeg, as Bob didn't, at least at the start. Anyway, Gilbert Delorme, young defenseman, not playing. Likewise, Doug Wickenheiser, Gaston Gingras on the trip, but not playing. For the Leafs, they're missing a couple of pretty good hockey players, Gary Anderson and Salning.
And Martin is not dressed tonight, Dick. He was injured last night, an ankle injury in the game at Washington. Warmed up tonight, but not dressed for Toronto.
Montreal's Engblom in his own zone, trying to come out with it. 10 seconds left in Boinstruck's penalty. The Canadiens started right away, went in on top of Bunny Larocque, but he has been hot with 3 or 4 good saves. This is Acton now into the zone deep. Acton centered it back to the line. Robinson couldn't shoot it. The Leafs are at full strength and now have the man advantage with Luce coming out. Luce gets up to center. Nearing the Canadian line, he decides to shoot it by Robinson. Now Robinson is checking him back of the net. Robinson tried to hit Lafleur. He didn't get the pass. The Leafs keep it in. They're on a man advantage now with 20 seconds left in the Canadian penalty. Here's Gerlego, and his shot hit Engblom and bounced to Lafleur. Lafleur shoots it off the boards and down the ice. Just 8 seconds left in Shutt's penalty. Gerlego for Toronto falls. Mano carries on. Mano stick handles away from Jarvis. Here's Gerlego, and there's a good save by Sevigny. Got a stick on it. Rebound is right there. It's kept in by Boynstruck. Canadiens trying to move it away from the net area. At the line, a shot kicked right near the net, and a great save again by Sevigny. Gerlego standing right in front of him. Mano couldn't stop it and keep it in. The teams are at full strength. There is no score. Mano falls in his own zone. That's Gainey forechecking for Canadiens. And again, the puck goes over the boards at the Maple Leaf bench. Tonight's game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Getting away with a friend or two, taking a day to spend it with you. Every minute has some good times, and now they're rolling your way. There's a breakaway kind of beer with a taste that's clean and clear. Molson Canadian, the great Canadian breakaway, breakaway.
They played 3:31 of the first period, no score. I'm Bob Cole with Dick Irvin and Gary Dornhofer at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. And from the face-off, Langway at the blue line takes a shot in front of Gainey, didn't see it. And the Leaf center tried to clear it on the boards. Canadiens in forechecking again. Engblom couldn't keep it in. Here comes Sittler, the pass to Robert. Robert gets set, takes his shot. Sevigny blocked it. Maloney tried to center it. It was blocked by the goaltender, that pass out. There's Napier looking for it. Robert couldn't hook it in front. He gets a second chance. Got it in front of the net, and it's knocked away by Sevigny. And now Maloney, the Leafs with some pressure on Montreal now. Maloney gets loose. There's going to be a penalty. Sittler scores! Sittler gets the goal. 1-0 Toronto.
What a job by Dan Maloney. Gary, just strength up against the backboard, set up Sittler.
Well, Dick, you had mentioned why is Dan Maloney in the lineup. There's one good reason, strength. He's determined to do a job out there. He's now scored a point in 5 consecutive games, but he just out-muscles the defender. Sittler gets position in front of the net, and the Leafs draw first blood. That's the ability to beat your man one-on-one, and Maloney, he's been doing that for a lot of years, and that time it paid off.
4:09, the time of the goal. 1-0 Toronto Maple Leafs. Great work by Maloney into the left of the Montreal net. Spring it loose. Risebrow backhands it to the line. Nyland at center. Nyland shoots it in. LaRock steps back of the net, trying to clear it into the corner. Nyland went after it on this side. He was checked. The Canadiens, though, keep it in for a moment. Now Saginaw had it go off his leg to the center ice area. Hunter gets a pass in. Nyland took a check at the blue line. Now there's Hunter again, shooting it in for Montreal. The Leafs won. Montreal nothing at the 5-minute mark of the first period. Saginaw gets as far as center, and that's it, with the Canadiens clearing it back in. Mondu on the ice. Lachlan is number 26. That's Craig Lachlan on the left wing for Montreal. He's 24, 5'11", 198, a Toronto boy. And playing pretty well, Dick, they tell me, for Canadiens. Here's a break for Toronto right in front of the net. Sevigny went down and covered up on Boschman, who was in alone.
Well, Gary, there you saw it, as Bob Barry calls it, an unforced error deep in his own zone.
Well, that's the last thing you want to do, is really come out of your own zone, carrying the puck, handling the puck with nobody back to cover up for you. And Engblom, he had a lot of different avenues of escape there. He could have thrown it up the boards or up the center, and you see how he's stripped from the puck.
Well, that might have been a forced error. Looking at it again, Rick Vive got his stick on Engblom, and that's when the puck left Engblom's stick.
Boschman gets it back. Gibson shot. It was deflected. Sevigny had to be careful. He went down and got a piece of it. The Canadiens' Mondu coming in with Tremblay in front of the net. Gets it back. Near the line is Engblom. He played it over in front. Again, the Leafs break it up. 3 of them come out of the zone. And Boschman's pass to Vive, and he moved at the blue line, and the Leafs are offside. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Toronto.
here. I'm manager of the hardware department at Canadian Tire. I need your help in convincing Canadian Tire to change their name. It says nothing about my department. Look at this selection. Brand names like Stanley, Black & Decker, and our own Mastercraft, plus lots of others. Is Canadian Tire the right name for all this? Please tell them it isn't. But don't tell them who told you to tell them. Canadian Tire may not be the perfect name, but it's a terrific place to work.
There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires.
They're nearing the 6-minute mark of the first period. The Maple Leafs 1-0. Zittler at center ice for Toronto. Maloney on the left wing and Robert on the right side.
Dick, an interesting matchup. It'll be Dan Maloney against Guy Lafleur, and you have to believe that Lafleur can outskate Maloney.
There's Maloney looking for that pass. It went in behind him. Robinson played it for Lafleur down on the wing. Too far for Steve's shot. Boyne struck his back for Toronto. He has it with his skate now. Shutt still trying to knock it loose. Kicked at it a second time. Finally, the Canadiens come up with it. Push it late into the crease. He scored! Lafleur saw the opening and whipped it by the Rock. 1-1.
Well, I tell you, that's good news for Guy Lafleur. He has been scoreless through his last 7 games.
Actually, the guy that does a lot of the work there is Keith Acton. He manages to dig that puck out of the corner, and anytime a Guy Lafleur is around that net, he becomes so dangerous. He didn't waste any time before Mano had a chance to clear it. It was behind Larocque.
It's funny how it goes, Gary, when a fella's in a slump. Last night, Winnipeg had a couple of clear-cut chances, didn't score. Right there, scores from a scramble.
6:14, the time of that Canadian goal. And it's tied now at 1. There's Gainey having some difficulty as he hits the Toronto blue line. Canadians stay with it. Coming in. Napier can't make a play. Again, Bob Gainey was bumped on the boards by Maloney. The Canadians, Gainey again from the corner. Takes a look over in front of the net. Can't make the play. Stays with it, though. That's Gainey whipping it into the corner again. It slides behind the Toronto net. Langway couldn't center it. Yes, it did come in front. Langway made another pass, and the Leafs break it up. Boyne struck to center. Just got rid of it, and Engblom is back. Napier for Montreal. His pass is stopped near center. Robert watching his man. Jarvis. Zanussi shoots along one in for Toronto. They're nearing the 8-minute mark of the opening period. The score is tied at 1. Napier from center ice. Whipped it in off the boards. There's Hunter looking for it. Coming in, Risebrough. Gets it back near the line, and it's kept in by Picard. Along the boards, they hold it. The referee, Bruce Hood, standing right there, calls the play.
Now there's Guy Lafleur. 7 stitches on his forehead the other night in Minnesota. You see the scar. And we get some pushing and shoving. Young Mark Hunter involved for the Canadiens. Will Payma. Hunter wasn't in uniform the last 2 games, which were the first 2 on this current Montreal trip.
Well, again, Dick, we have another look at Guy Lafleur getting out of his slump, but just watch him circle in that slot area, getting himself in position, and eventually, because of that rebound, with Keith Acton doing most of the work, comes right to him. And, you know, for a defenseman, you just have to go against Lafleur, stand right beside him, take him out. You give him that chance to get that shot away. You know where you're going to find the puck.
Sign here tonight.
12:27 remaining in this opening period. The score tied, 1-1. Benning tries to clear it out for Toronto. The Leafs move it. Coming down to center, got it. Winds up. Couldn't get his shot away. He was covered by Robert Picard. Keeping it in on the other side is Hotham. Again, Picard. Once more, Hotham covering along the boards. And again, the Canadiens shoot it down the ice. There'll be no icing as they hit the 8-minute mark of the first period. Benning on the boards, and Risebrough stopped it. The Leafs break it up inside the line, and Zanussi gets away. This is Zanussi hitting the blue line, getting in position. Can't shoot it. 70 covered up. He cleared it out in front of his own net, and the Canadiens will move it now. They come to center ice. Long shot was deflected off his stick into the crowd. With a score, Montreal 1, Toronto 1. This is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Go, lady, go, lady, go.
The Go Dryer from Canadian General Electric goes anywhere. Compact with a fold-up handle, 2 heat speeds, and 1,200 watts of fast hair drying power.
Go Dryer, Go Dryer, Go.
Get curls to go. Get the CGE Pro Curler with fast heat up and a safe, cool tip.
Go Curler, Go.
The Go Dryer and Go Curler, just 2 of the many ways to look your best from CGE. We bring good things to life.
The Canadiens' Doug Reisbrow missed the last 4 games because of a groin injury back here tonight in Toronto.
11:38 remaining in the period. Lego for Toronto got it back. Melrose just played it off the boards and down inside the Montreal line. Langway, his pass to Mondeau, and he was covered by Melrose. Called at the blue line. This afternoon, the Rangers upsetting Philadelphia at the Spectrum, 5-3. And that's got to be a little bit of surprising news to both Rangers and Philadelphia.
A couple of weeks ago, it would have been surprising, but the Flyers have been playing a lot better of late.
There's Gibson playing one through the middle. Toronto's Boschman coming in with their Lego. Took the shot, and that was whipped away by Sevigny. Boschman again is behind the net. From the corner, he gets it in front of the goal. Sevigny knocked it away with a stick. And the Canadiens come out to center. Tremblay coming in with it. Tremblay took the shot. It was blocked and deflected. Cleared off the boards down on the far side. Derlego takes it through the middle. Derlego shoots it in for Toronto, and the Leafs are changing as the play goes on. They're nearing the halfway mark of the first period. The score is tied at 1. Gibson got rid of it. Play a little scrappy between the 2 blue lines now, and Robinson stopped this one. He was checked, falls to the ice. Lafleur missed it near the line. The Leafs are offside. Maloney was in ahead of the pass by Sittler. Let's go down now to Brian McFarland.
On This Week in the NHL, coming up in our first intermission tonight, we'll have a comment from Sir Savard, set to join the Winnipeg Jets. We'll have highlights of games played this week, including the Jets and the Canadiens last night in Winnipeg. First intermission, This Week in the NHL.
The broadcast booth at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Dick Irvin. And the Canadiens and the Leafs are knotted at 1 goal. Lafleur shoots it in. Into the corner goes Schutt. Fed it back. Sittler was there. He just got rid of it and cleared it down inside the Montreal line. Lapointe. The pass goes by Lafleur down inside the Leaf line and right on the net. The Rock stopped it for Boimstruck. Here's Sittler missing that pass. It goes back inside, and Robinson takes it in front of the net. Played it off Lafleur's stick down the ice. It won't reach the goal line, or will it? No icing. Boimstruck cleared it off the boards in the corner. It hit the linesman, and Sittler comes down with Maloney. Sittler gets set, tried to stick handle through, and Napier brings it out. Gainey poked it down the ice and races in after it. Here's Bob Gainey stopping in the corner. Back of the net it goes. Napier was in front, but Robert was covering up. The Canadiens stay on top of it. It comes outside the line, and Langway now has to wait. Napier from this right wing decides to shoot it in again. Back of the net, Boimstruck for Toronto to Saginaw, and he got rid of it. Down the ice it goes, and Langway is back. They played 11 minutes of the first period. Toronto 1, Montreal 1. At center, Napier is stopped, can't move very far. Saginaw for Toronto shoots it in. Sevigny out of the net, stopping it for Engblom. He got rid of it high into the crowd. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf. 48 remaining in this first period. The Leafs scored first. Canadiens back to tie it. 1-1. Don Luce is number 20 for Toronto. Got the draw, hooked it into the corner. That's Lapointe for Canadiens. Takes his time. Haymon in for checking. He stole it, got it back. Hoffman took a shot, and falling in front of it was Guy Lapointe, and it slides down to Larocque. That's Benning, number 15 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs back to line up. Luce comes to the left side, gets the pass, hooked it away to center ice, and Lapointe just waits for Robinson. He has to go back again. Robinson ahead to Reisbrow. He stops, gets across center, and flipped one into the lead zone. Benning behind the net. He was stopped. The Canadiens forechecking. Hunter on top of it. Tried to clear it over behind the net. Luce is covering up with Benning. They try to get a whistle. Now they hold it with their skates. It's still playable, though. Comes loose to the side. Nyland flipped it back near the line, and Saganuk was there to Paymon. Will Paymon coming in. Shoots one from center, but Saganuk was offside, and it's called. Oh, we have a score now in Calgary. Let's go out there, and here's Don Whitman.
Willie Flett trying to center it. It went off his skate, back at the net, picked up by Potvin. Knocked down at the line as the Flames keep it in. Flett centering it. They stand right, they score!
Well, you talk about those giveaways. They really hurt. That time, Willie Plett was able to take advantage with Bill Clement cruising in front of the crease. He's able to direct that pass into the net. And the Calgary Flames lead the Islanders 1-0.
Don's commentary showed it was Denny Potvin gave it up from deep in his own zone.
So Calgary, Dick, is coming on, and what's happening to the Islanders?
I was going to say the Islanders are having their troubles.
7:40 left in this opening period. It's tied at 1. The Canadiens, that's Laughlin going in. Dropped it back, and Derlego swings out with 5. He got the pass. 5 gets set, waited too long. And he was bumped to the ice and spun around. There he is again at center ice. Rick 5 for Gibson. He decides to shoot it in for Toronto. Sevigny stopped it behind the net. Langway tried to flip it out. It went over the glass into the crowd.
Now the Canadiens' Mario Tremblay is off to the best start of his NHL career. 13 goals so far. He's scored in bursts for a while. This year early, but I think Gary overall Tremblay has played more solid, consistent hockey this year than he has for a long time.
I think there's been a lot of mention that the Canadiens need some strength and some big guys up in their forward line. It seems when you look at their roster, the Tremblay and the Gainey, other than that, who can dig out the puck out of the corners for them?
Right, with Wickenheiser not playing at all these days, it seems they don't have that size. Of course, enthusiasm can make up for it sometimes.
Absolutely.
Ori Boschman, number 12 for Toronto, will be waved out of there now. And Derlego comes in to take the face-off against Acton, the Canadiens. Bounces behind the Montreal goal. Robert couldn't clear it out. Boyd struck shot. That dribbled off the glove of Sevigny. He flipped it high on the glass. It's still inside the line. Boyd struck, fell on it, and they get another whistle.
You know, that's a classic of what defense are looking for. Anytime a team is under the threat where they have to throw that puck around the boards, you'll see defensemen pinching in. And that's why the ideal situation, of course, is for your defenseman to pick it up, look around, find somebody to pass it to. Good, strong forechecking will cause those turnovers.
Now the Leafs with 7 minutes left in the period. Mano from center, golfed one in. That's Picard, 24 to Boschman. Boschman took a shot, and it's knocked away by Sevigny. The Canadiens loose play inside their own blue line. Nearly got trapped, and the Leafs bring it back in. Boschman tipped it into the zone. Picard goes around the net and starts away. Lafleur to his left on the move. Picard shoots it from center, just got rid of it, and Derlego was back first. Robert stops it. Lafleur checked him. Robert goes after it again, kicked it behind his own net, and it's cleared on the boards by Derlego, but not out. Englund kept it in. Boydstruck now shooting it to the other side, and it gets down to Gainey. Gainey from the Montreal line with Englund. Langway, the other defenseman, they shoot it in. The Rock steps behind the net, leaves it for Mano in front of his own goal. Here he is to the line to center. Sittler passed it off. Robert gets set. Tried to go around the defenseman, could not. Langway had him beat. And the Canadiens come back. They just shoot it in. And there's Napier looking for Jarvis. Jarvis from the corner gets it back. Englund shoots it into the corner again. Napier couldn't center it. Benning stopped him. Napier kicked it loose. Napier once again tried to whip it back in front. He was knocked down, and the Leafs cleared to the line, but not out. Now Sittler stopped by Gainey, and it's offside at the Maple Leaf line. Live from Toronto, Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Michalak, the coaches, looking on in what could not be described at this point anyway as a high-intensity hockey game. I think the biggest bit of pressure came in the first 14 seconds, Bob, and the Canadians had those 3 shots on their former goaltender.
And Larocque was ready for it. Leafs came right back and scored. The Canadians tied it. It's 1-1. 5:18 remaining in the period. Puck over the glass into the crowd again.
Well, Dick, we talked about forechecking and the philosophies that the coaches have. Again, the ideal situation is that first man has to make contact. He doesn't worry about the puck. The second guy coming in late, when he sees that the defenseman is in a vulnerable position, he picks up that loose puck. And both goals have resulted because of that good forechecking. Maloney and Acton doing a lot of the work.
Robinson for Montreal. Laid it on an open wing. The Leafs just shoot it to center again. Nyland got it over for Hunter. Hunter from center ice shoots it in. And behind the net goes Gibson. 4:55 left in the period. Hunter stopped that pass out. Then he was checked to the ice and couldn't make another move on it. Robert races to this wing. In against LaPointe. Robert got away from him. Now centered it. And it's cleared by Hunter to the line to Nyland. Nyland up to center ice for Montreal, shooting it in. Wide of the net, and Larocque steps out of the goal again and cleared it for Maloney. Dan Maloney coming out, down to center. Fired one in off the boards, and Robinson is the first back. We have 4:25 remaining in the period. Robinson starting this rush to Mondeau. Mondeau coming in, Lachlan on his left, and then he stole it again, centered it. Tremblay races over for it. Zanussi checking on him. Into the corner, Melrose for Toronto. Laid it off the boards, and it'll go down the ice into the Canadian zone. Back is Guy Lapointe. 4 minutes left in the period. Mondeau stopped that pass at center. Here's Mondeau playing it into Tremblay, and he shoots it across the line. The Leafs bring it right out again. Coming down is Godden. Winding up, faking the shot. Godden going right in. Nearly jammed it by Sevigny, who fell. And he held on to it. Now we have Paymon and Langway pushing at each other.
Paymon threw a punch, or at least in the general direction of Rod Langway. Missed by a fair amount, but I think they are going to end up in the penalty box, judging from Bruce Hood's actions right here as they now convoy Paymon down the ice.
This is Hockey Night in Canada from Toronto.
Stop looking at Zenith's digital tuner. Forget that it automatically remembers your favorite stations. Stop playing with the damped door on the Dolby cassette. Stop looking at everything you get with Zenith's new audio systems and listen to the sound of Zenith Allegros with computer-designed tune ports and a response curve so flat, we printed it right on the speaker. Stop looking and listen to Zenith, where the quality goes in before the name goes on.
Wilf Paymon,
roughing penalties handed out to Rod Langway of the Canadians. Wilf Paymon of the Maple Leafs, 16-16 the time.
So they're 5 aside now with 3:44 remaining in the period. The score tied at 1. Derlego for Toronto. He has 5 on the right wing. Mano and Boimstruck, the 2 Toronto defensemen. The Canadians trying to move it. Lafleur comes to center with Lapointe. Trailing the play was Acton, but the pass was high and into the crowd.
Well, there's Bob Gainey of the Canadians, the team captain and winner of the Frank Selke Trophy since its inception as the best defensive forward in the league. And there is Mr. Frank Selke Sr. And he had a marvelous line, Gary, last year at the hockey meetings in Montreal in June when he officially presented Bob with the trophy. They got up to the podium and he said, "Well, Bob, here we are again."
You know, sometimes, especially the way the game is played now, a lot of Gainey's work is overlooked because there isn't much of that close checking anymore. But he is still a very effective player.
Sittler opened the scoring for Toronto at 4:09. Then Lafleur tied it. Here's Acton going in with Robinson. An open side. Lafleur picks it up again. Lafleur tried to center it. He's checked along the boards. They try to hold it. Now it comes loose. And that's Mano trying to move it out. He lost it to Acton. And a great save by Bunny Larocque on Acton, who stole it inside the Maple Leaf blue line. Derlego couldn't hang on to it as he hit the line, and here's Lafleur again. LeFleur coming in with the shot, and that's stopped by Larocque. Just got enough of it. Bide slapped one out to center. Gainey for Montreal with 50 seconds left in the penalties. Gainey is stopped by Melrose near the Toronto blue line. 2.5 minutes left in this opening period. The score is tied, 1-1. Here's Gibson to center for Toronto, shoots it in. Sittler comes up looking for it. One in back of the net, into the corner. That's Robert with Sittler. Robinson covers for Montreal. Gainey's pass to the blue line. Here's Lapointe up to center ice, going in, and they're offside at the Maple Leaf line.
Well, when a team is struggling a little bit, they'll miss good scoring chances. And Gary, of late, the Canadians have had 2-on-1s, 3-on-1, like right here.
You know, what I can't understand is why Robinson wouldn't shoot that. It looked like he had a pretty good angle, trying for that perfect play, that extra pass, and then a puck that hit Bruce Hood, which Keith Acton was able to handle. A good save by Bunny Larocque.
Jarvis falls near center, and that gives Sittler a chance to come back to pick it up for Toronto. 1:50 left in the period. Sittler starting out. He has Gibson to his left. He went by him to Robert at center. Robert and Sittler catching up. Robert's shot is knocked away from the net, and Gainey starts back for Montreal. Gainey's pass is chopped over the boards by Gibson and into the crowd.
You know, a lot of times goalies, as the play is going out of your zone, have a tendency to relax, but there is a prime example that, you know, you have to have that concentration all the time. You never know when something's going to happen. How often do the referees get involved in a play? But Larocque was able to keep that concentration and make the save.
Canadiens bench, you saw Robert Picard. He was the other man in the trade last March when Larocque came to Toronto. Picard went to Montreal.
Langway with a long shot. That was off the net. Canadians keep it in. Hunter tried to set it up in front of the Leafs. Clear it down the ice. 1:20 left in the period. Score tied at 1. The Canadians organizing again. The long pass by Risebrough missed everyone. In behind the Maple Leaf net. The Canadians have it first. It was centered by Nyland, but Mano fell, and he held it.
Now there's 1:11 remaining first period. The score is 1-1. A lot of Hockey Night in Canada action coming your way 1 week from tonight. In Montreal, the Bruins meet the Canadiens. Will be seen in the Maritimes, Quebec, and British Columbia. The Leafs at Winnipeg to be seen in Ontario, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. Minnesota at Edmonton. In the Edmonton area, viewers will see that one, while the rest of Alberta will see the game from the Corral. The Flames against the Colorado Rockies. So that's coming your way 1 week from tonight on Hockey Night in Canada.
And Gary, I understand you're going to be all dressed up next Saturday.
Not only will I be in Winnipeg, that'll be my first opportunity of seeing a National Hockey League game there, but I'm looking forward to wearing that tuxedo again. It's like you're at a wedding, eh, Bob?
I guess so. Tuxedo night in Winnipeg next Saturday.
Well, I've been there for the previous two. The Canadians were just as glad it wasn't tuxedo night last night. They've lost both times 2 years ago. Get the tuxedo back in time, Gary. They charge you $7.95 if you're.
Well, I have my own, Dex, so I'm all right.
Well,
kind of a change here by the Leafs. They've moved Laurie Boschman from the left side to center Derlago and Vive now. It started out with Derlago doing the center ice duties, and Boschman didn't look out of place at that left position at all.
Less than a minute now remaining in the period as Robinson comes in with Acton to shut. That didn't work. Robinson has to come back again. 50 seconds left of the period. LeFleur tipped it neatly over to Acton. Acton, a good move at the line. He's knocked wide. And a penalty coming up against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Gary, we've said it many times on our broadcasts, radio and television. Keith Acton draws more penalties than anybody else on the Montreal team. Why is that?
He's always in motion. He's never standing still. He has the ability to cut to the middle, cut to the outside. He had Mano beat, and incidentally, Mano had a really rough night in Washington, especially on one-on-one situations where Boimstruck had to cover him up several occasions. You saw in that play, he was beat. That's all he could do was grab the stick and haul Acton down.
An interesting game in Detroit tonight. The first game between the Red Wings and the Sabres since the big trade, and the Red Wings have a 2-1 lead, according to the board here at the Gardens.
And now 40 seconds remaining in the period. Mano is off on that holding charge. So the Canadians with a man advantage, every man up. Acton couldn't get the draw. The Leafs shoot it down the ice. Melrose was on it right away. That's Lafleur coming back, and 30 seconds left of the period as he starts it. Lafleur back at his own net, takes his time. Now the play to Acton, through the middle at center. Acton up over the line, tried to hit Napier. Behind the play was Lapointe. He flipped one off to the corner, 15 seconds left as it's cleared over the glass into the crowd at that far side.
Of course, one thing about players like Keith Acton, Gary, the other teams say he must have gone to what used to be called the Bill Barber School of Diving. It helps a little bit if you can just give it the extra impetus.
Every once in a while you have to do that. You know, if you're hooked or something, you might as well make it look good. Guy Lafleur or Lapointe, has that been the combination on the defense and the power play?
A lot of times lately, yes.
Robinson got the shot. It was deflected away from the net. Melrose went after it, and he was successful in clearing it down for Toronto. That will kill the period. Only 4 seconds left as Robinson picks it up, lets it go. The Rock calmly grabs it as the bell goes to end the first period, and the score at the end of the first period is Montreal 1, Toronto 1.
Now from the Hockey Night in Canada Control Center, this week in the NHL, an inside look at the past week's activity throughout the league. Here's Dave Hodge with Brian McFarland.
This week in the NHL in Buffalo, Scotty Bowman turned over the head coaching reins of the Sabres to Jim Roberts. Philadelphia's Paul Holmgren put himself into hot water by striking referee Andy Van Hellemond. And the hot topic at the NHL governors meeting in Florida was the Meadowlands. There's a butcher shop lineup to get to what appears to be a hockey lotus land. Colorado desperate to move. The Rangers retained first option. Chicago has expressed some interest. And then there's the situation in Vancouver. The Canucks are playing some arena politics at home. And the assistant board chairman of the Vancouver Canucks, Arthur Griffiths, explained the team's position this way.
We have to secure our future, and maybe it's only a year from now, but at the same time, the building that we operate in is the key issue. If it's going to be here or somewhere else, we have to secure that future for us. We would like to make some improvements to the building, associate the building with hockey at our cost, at the same time as sharing revenue with the B&E for these expenditures. And so far, as we say, for 2 years now, we have no response or reaction to these requests.
Well, there's joy in Winnipeg this week. Just as eagerly awaited as the arrival of Santa Claus is the arrival of Serge Savard. He has agreed to join the Jets. Ma Bell played a role in the comeback, and so did the two sons.
I kind of say no all the time, and Ferguson kept phoning me, and I would say the last word came from my family, and I got the two boys. One is 14, the other one is 11, and he kept telling me, why don't you go? It'll be fun, and we'll learn something else. And physically, even when I retired, I thought I could have played a couple more years, but I don't think I could have played anymore in Montreal.
From Serge Savard to Larry Robinson, a less normal association than last season or a few days ago, really. I see the schedule as 2 Montreal-Winnipeg games coming up, but it seemed a little strange facing your old friend.
Well, I'll see how it's like when I face him. We saw him last night. We were talking to him for a while, and I wish him the best of luck. He was a great man, and I enjoyed 7 years of hockey, playing with him and being his roommate. And I was sorry to see him go out the way he did last year, and now he has another chance to maybe go out on a little better note.
Speaking of facing old teammates, you haven't shot any pucks at Bunny LaRocque in the NHL. Not shots that count, anyway.
Well, I got a chance really early on. I think it was about 10 or 15 seconds into the period, and I had a pretty good chance. I was on my backhand, but he came up with 3 real big saves right off the bat, and then they come back later on, and it seems it's been going that way for the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, where we've had numerous chances early on to put the game away, and we haven't, and they've come back into our end, and we make one mistake and the puck's in our net.
Can anything explain the Canadiens having the best goals against average in the league and then suddenly having 18 goals scored against them in 3 games?
I don't know. I think it's an old cliche that whenever they mention something, whether you're scoring a lot of goals, you've had 13 goals in 13 games, and all of a sudden it's mentioned, and then the next thing you find out, you get 2 goals in the next 10 games. Sometimes it's better just floating along with people not knowing as soon as something's mentioned. We mentioned the other night that we hadn't had a power play goal against us in Minnesota, and the next thing you know, we had 4 power plays against us. So it's just one of those things that happens. We're not playing very well.
This may be an old question to you, but this is the Canadiens' first visit. You and the Islanders had the most members on Team Canada in the Canada Cup. And the Islanders, I'm sure, aren't happy with their play, and I'm sure you're not happy with yours. Any link between the two?
Oh, I don't think so. I think when things are going bad, you always, well, people make excuses for you, and then after a while, I think you start to believe those excuses yourself. And what it really comes down to is maybe you get a little lackadaisical, and you forget how you got where you were in the first place, and that was through hard work. And as of late, we've been working really hard. We haven't been playing very disciplined hockey, you know, running around, making mental errors, and that's what's really cost us. Not physical-wise, but who knows? Maybe we are a little mentally tired this year. But you know, I feel pretty good right now. There's a few nagging injuries, but I think you have that every year. It's just something that we've got to work out, and it comes through hard work.
Well, I'm sure both of these teams will be happy with a 1-1 period, the way the goals have been going in. Thank you very much, Larry.
My pleasure.
We'll return with more on This Week in the NHL in just a moment.
Far and away the most popular name in Edmonton these days, and no wonder. Some of the other young kids in the Oilers are getting a lot of attention too. One of them, high-scoring defenseman Paul Coffey.
Defenseman Paul Coffey looks more like a 6-year veteran than a sophomore in the National Hockey League. He's 20 now and appears headed for all-star status in only his 2nd year of pro hockey.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy the way I'm playing. I know last year at the start of the year, I was just thinking the last road trip, what I'd be doing last year in December, and I think I was down. I wasn't playing well. I think it's the team playing well. I think everybody on the whole is playing good, and all the guys that helped me out.
What about your own confidence? You have to feel very confident the way things are going and the number of goals you've been able to get this year.
Yeah, I think confidence is a big part of any game you play. If you play football, basketball, anything, you got to have confidence. I think now the team is riding high, and I think everybody on the team's got a lot of confidence, including myself.
What about personal goals for you this season?
Beginning of the year, I don't really set personal goals. I just try to do the best I can, and I think by doing the best I can and the team winning, that'll be a good enough goal for me.
For Paul Coffey, this year's stats are impressive. 38 points in 31 games, 3rd best on the high-scoring Oilers, and tops among defensemen in the National Hockey League. Not bad in year 2.
Scoring approximately 1 goal every 2nd game, Paul Coffey should hit 30 this season, maybe even 40. And only one defenseman in NHL history has scored more than 40 goals in a season. That, of course, Bobby Orr. Live on CBC, this is Hockey Night in Canada.
And Toronto Maple Leafs won. As we get ready to start the 2nd period in the first, Sittler his 15th at 4:09 from Maloney and Robert. Lafleur his 12th from Acton and Robinson at 6:14. You see the shots. The Canadiens out shooting Toronto 8-7 in the first period.
Well, out in Calgary, Lanny McDonald has scored his first goal as a member of the Flames. It's his 9th game with the Calgary team, and he has given the Flames a 2-0 lead over the, obviously, Gary's still slumping New York Islanders, who've dropped 4 of their last 5 games.
Right, Dick, and I like the play that Bridgman makes. You notice he had his head up all the time, looking for McDonald, streaking down that right side. McDonald, always known for that good wrist shot, beats Melanson to the far side. So the Flames, they're ahead in their own building, 2-0.
And here we're set to start the 2nd. The referee, Bruce Hood, comes to center ice. You're looking at Mano in the penalty box. He has 1:20 remaining in his penalties. So the Canadiens start out with a man advantage. Lapointe and Lafleur get together to move it to center. Lafleur flipped one in. That's Robinson going back, but the Leafs clear it to the line. Here's Lapointe setting up Lafleur, shooting! And it's blocked in front of the net by Gibson. Lapointe keeping it in for Montreal. The Canadiens on the power play, 55 seconds left in the penalty, and they get a whistle for a face-off in the Toronto zone.
Well, Keith Acton, like some of the other Canadians, having problems scoring goals, got off to a good start, but has just 1 in his last 9 games, but 13 for the year. The Acton shut Lafleur line started the season very well for the Canadiens, and Gary's been doing a lot
Let's
of
watch
juggling.
number 19. I guess
that's
his
right.
job out there is to get in front of the net. Awfully big figure to get out of there.
LaPointe at the blue line to Lafleur. Again, the shot. Hey, right to the goal, and they score.
The light went on.
It went in first. Acton got the goal.
That'll make it 2 goals in 10 games now for Keith Acton. That light went on, Gary, before Acton finally put the puck definitively into the net. I guess it was just over the line.
Well, I wonder if it did indeed cross the line. Well, we're going to see it on this replay, but you see Robinson, he's got control of Gibson there, and that allows Acton to be home free. It looked like it was over the first time. Larocque was trying to fish it out, but just to make sure. But see, Lafleur makes a great play. He takes a lot off of that shot, just trying to direct it in front of the net, and Acton is there to finish it off.
35 seconds, the time of the goal. It's 2-1 Montreal. Jarvis is coming in now with Napier. Jarvis tried to backhand it in front of the net, and the Leafs cover up but not clear it. There's a chance in front, and Larocque had to cover on the short side. Canadiens moving it again. Napier stopped by Gibson. Here comes Jarvis. Melrose bounced him on the boards. Derlego spinning out for Toronto. He hits center ice with the long shot. A bullet drive just missed. And it's cleared all the way back inside the Leaf line. Montreal 2, Toronto 1. That's Boyne struck. Losing it. Canadiens, and a great save by Bunny Larocque. On that shot by Lachlan, he was right in on top of him. Canadiens started the game flying, and it looks as if they're flying again at the start of the second period. Mondou's slap one was blocked. The Leafs can't move it out. Canadiens add more pressure. That's Tremblay getting it back. LaPointe failed to keep it in. They're nearing the 2-minute mark of the second period. 2-1 Montreal. That goal by Acton. Here they come again. And back goes Robert to flatten Lachlan before he could make a move. Now Mondou stopped it at the blue line. Lachlan in front of the net. The pass went by him. Here's Lachlan looking for it. Couldn't center it. And Robert, the Leafs, got it up to the line, but not out. Now Mano will move it across the line, up to center. Robert's offside. From Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, this is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Trust the leader in technology to forge a new legend, Seiko LaSalle. Trust Seiko to fuse slim elegance and peerless performance, new Seiko LaSalle. Trust Seiko to create timepieces destined for a place among the world's great possessions. Seiko LaSalle, miracles of slimness, marvels of technology. No wonder people trust Seiko more than any other watch.
Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Dick Irvin in the broadcast booth at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. It's 2-1 Montreal. The Leafs clearing it, went by Sidler. Robert near center ice, played it ahead. Maloney carries into the corner. Robinson chasing him.
You got it.
Robinson took him out of the play, and the Canadiens will move it out. There's Risebrough. Risebrough breaking in, going right in. Played it back to the blue line, and the Leafs get it out to center ice. Risebrough, figuring he was in on too sharp an angle, got it back in front, and nobody was in front in that position. Here's LaPointe now. He fell near the line, went off balance, couldn't knock it in. Risebrough turns with it. His long pass. Nyland couldn't stop it. Robinson had to go by him. The Canadiens, Hunter to center ice. There's Robinson going in, winding up, shoots. Larocque stopped it. Rebound, Hunter scores.
Rookie Mark Hunter cashing in the rebound. Gary, I've seen a lot of goals in the last couple of weeks scored when a rebound has been left just lying there. Perfect example.
That's right. You know, you expect your goaltender to come out and make the first save, but then, by golly, you need help from your defense to clear that rebound. Nobody around, and so Larocque has to pay the consequence. But he made an exceptional save, and you saw that Mark Hunter was able to corral that rebound and deposit it in the net.
That's Hunter's 7th goal. He scored a goal, his first shift, his first shot in the NHL against Hartford. And it's 3-1 Montreal.
3:17, the time of the goal. 3-1 now, Canadiens. There goes Acton again. He falls, and there's going to be a penalty to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Acton went sprawling, and the Leafs get the penalty. Tonight's game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Hello. I like this Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver so much, I bought the company. It shaves as close as a blade, or I'll give you your money back. Remington has 2 microscreens. That's why it can shave as close as a blade. The first microscreen shaves incredibly close. The second even closer. The Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. And the Lady Remington, the perfect gift, also with a money-back guarantee.
Well, God not for interference. Sorry, Bob. 3:31. The Canadiens have a power play goal in this period.
But you had mentioned before, Dick, that why Acton has so many penalties called against him. He has tremendous acceleration, 2 strides, and he's in full gear. Godden had to haul him down.
And for that, he's gone. So the Canadiens, having just scored a power play, have another power play advantage. Get it out to Lapointe, to Lafleur. Shoots, knocked down, rebound, Acton. Oh, Rock made a sensational save on Acton. Lapointe again to Acton. Acton turns around with it. Takes a look for Lafleur. Played it in back of the net instead. There's Napier turning with it. Lapointe is at the blue line. Lafleur at the other side. It comes back in front, and the Leafs 5 is right there to clear it out. Derlego to center. He moved in. Derlego nearly broke through, and Lapointe was back in time. 1:10 left in the penalty to Godden of the Leafs. Lapointe on the move, up over the line, dropping it to Acton. Acton faked the pass and had it knocked off his stick to center ice. A minute left in the penalty. Robinson is stopped at the line. Lafleur has to wait now till he gets back out. Lafleur. Crowd getting on Lafleur tonight here at the Gardens. Now Lafleur back of the net, trying to knock it in front. Lafleur has it. Lafleur gets it back, and there's a penalty coming up now against Robinson, I believe, of the Canadiens.
That's the second time the Canadiens have drawn a penalty in the other team's zone while they have had a man advantage. Shut in the first period, Robinson here in the second.
Dick, it was interesting because at the beginning of that penalty, Robinson, more so than screening the goaltender, he was setting up picks against the Leafs defense so that the other Canadiens were able to work those 2-on-1. So finally, you know, the referee Bruce Hood detected that, and Robinson will get the interference penalty.
Comes at 44 seconds left in the penalty to Godden.
But, you know, that's such a good play for a big guy like Robinson to just cause a little interference, and that allows, you know, another player just to use him as a screen or work around that defenseman, and that's a penalty that isn't called that often, but that time Bruce Hood whistled it down.
Now they're 5 aside as the Rock goes down to hang on to this one. 15:07 left in the period. It's 3-1 Montreal.
In uniform here tonight, the 3 goaltenders whose names on the Vezina Trophy from last season: Sevigny, Aaron, and Larocque.
Come up with him, don't you, Dick?
Thought I missed.
Larocque, of course. And the nets for Toronto, and down at the other end, Sevigny. And they've both been outstanding tonight, especially Larocque, although he's been beaten 3 times. But he has had to come up with some big stops tonight. The Canadiens coming in now. Mondeau goes down. Another penalty coming up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
That was a cinch. What are you going to use it for? Everything Jennifer buys at garage sale. Shit. How do they get all this in that box?
For years now, Sid and the guys have helped each other out and admired their handiwork over an X.
You know, guys, I think it'll stand forever. Just what I was thinking. Hey, Rob. Yeah. What are these bolts for?
The good things never change. Molson Export keeps on tasting great.
Spares? Of course they're spares. Gotta have spares. Well, they always have spares, don't they?
Coaches often complain that instead of sticking with their checks, Gary, the players get behind them and then have to trip them, hook them, whatever.
Well, that's something that Mike Nicoluk was complaining about this morning. You know, you're going to take penalties, but let's not make them lazy penalties. He felt that was some of the downfall for the Leafs in Washington. You know, if you're going to take it, make it a good one. You can't get a guy from behind. Don't take him at all. Pick up the trailer that's coming.
So at the moment, the Canadiens have the man advantage, and Lafleur got the draw. The point, played it in for Acton. He was stopped, and Sittler is going to clear for Toronto. Sittler ragging the puck near center ice. Sittler doing a heck of a job. Got in front and then lost it. Acton was belted at center ice by young Godden as he had come from the penalty box. Now they're 5 aside. Score is Montreal 3, Toronto 1. 55 seconds left in Robinson's penalty. Sittler comes in, he faked the shot, and Robert went in offside.
Well, there's Darryl Sittler. He's a veteran. Gary, they talk about this becoming a young man's game, the 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and here's Serge Savard, the biggest story in Winnipeg right now. What do you think about that?
I like the deal. I think that Savard will give the Winnipeg Jets some certain needed experience out there. And, you know, they look at him, they see all those Stanley Cups, and I think that in alone will be a great inspiration for them.
And there's Sittler in after it again. Mano stopped it at the blue line. Sittler knocked it away with his hand. He falls, and there's going to be a penalty to Guy Lapointe of the Montreal Canadiens as Sittler, with his effort, drew that penalty. With a score, Montreal 3 and Toronto 1. This is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
It's for you. Number 1 out on the snow. It's for you. Just relax and let it go. When Ski-Doo teams up with you, you're the leader of the group. Make it you, make it you. Make it you, and Ski-Doo. Make it you, and Ski-Doo. Make it you.
Now the Canadiens play shorthanded, 5 against 4. Lapointe for holding.
Dick, a lot of times a player can draw a penalty by keeping those legs moving, and then the referee looks at that. He's not making any progress. That's when the penalty occurs.
Mano for Toronto holds it near the line. He kept it into Sittler, but now the Canadiens shoot it down the ice. Robinson has 20 seconds left in his penalty as Robert swings out for Toronto, hitting center with Sittler with him. There's Robert up the blue line, gets set, played it back beautifully. Mano gets in front and can't shoot it. Mano decides to throw it off to Maloney. Trying to get it back to Mano, does. Mano over here, Robert's got that good shot. Here it is. The rebound back to him. Over to Mano. Faked the shot and he was upended. And Robinson breaks away. One man back. He's going in with Jarvis. Jarvis! And his shot blocked by Robert. Robert went in after him then and held him on the boards. The puck comes loose to Robert. They're 5 aside, wide open now in the second period. Good hockey. Sittler from center. 3-1. Montreal is the score as Langley stopped it in front of his own net to Risebrough. Coming up is Mondu, and the high rising shot is knocked in over the glass by Bunny Larocque.
And as the puck went up over the glass and out of play, Will Paymont's penalty ended. Guy Lapointe, the only man in the penalty box now. 51 seconds left for him.
The goaltenders that we have out here tonight, they're very similar in their styles. Both of them come well out to cut down angles, very good with the glove hand, and play with a lot of intensity. You know, you watch Larocque in practice. I was really impressed with him. He hadn't played for a while. He's out there right to the very last. All the players have left the ice, and he decides to leave. But he works at his game, and like you say, when you've gone this long and you haven't had a win, you know, it has to be a disappointing season, but he hasn't pulled the plug. He keeps working at it.
And from the face-off, that's Picard shooting it in for Montreal. Benning has to hustle back because Mondu is in quickly. Now Hotham left it for Derlego. Bill Derlego hitting the stride to center for Toronto. Derlego up over the line, dropped it back to Boschman. Boschman back to him, and the Canadiens break it up. Mondu comes out. He's down with Risebrough, but just shot it in as Risebrough was going off. Canadiens changing as the play comes back, led by Boschman. He shoots it in, and there's Gainey picking it up back to the net for Montreal. He overskates it into the corner. Derlego left it there. Cleared back of the net. Boschman gets ready. Off the glass for Derlego to Benning. Benning back to Derlego near the line. And he tried to get it back to him. He did now. The pass comes in front. Lapointe is back on the ice. And he's up to center with Gainey carrying. Gainey trying to drop it back to him. Did. Lapointe flipped it over in front. And it was cleared by Derlego. Nearing the 9-minute mark of the second period, 3-1, Montreal, icing called against Toronto. This game is coming to you from Toronto.
When you buy a Luminar 20, you get color television with the Hitachi Touch. You get the Luminar definition processor that can define this picture, hair by hair. You get the Luminar Color Commander that commands perfect color without fail. You get the exclusive Luminar 20 warranty that guarantees all solid-state parts for 20 years. Would you want more in a color TV? The Hitachi Touch. Some people have it, some people don't.
Bob Berry looking on from behind the Canadian bench with his team leading by 2 goals.
Saw him eating some peanuts or potato chips back there, so this is a role that the Canadiens haven't enjoyed for a while, Dick. A lead.
Engblom shoots one, a high shot off the boards. It bounces down to the right side and then was cleared to center. Canadiens shot for Acton. He was stopped near center and loose, comes back in. Over there is Zanussi. Into the corner, he centered it, and 78 covered up. Now the Leafs get it back in front, but Acton was there to bring it out for Lafleur. Lafleur hits center. Up over the line, he was bumped at the blue line and knocked down by Melrose. The Leafs knock it loose with a glove, and of course, that pass is called back. More scoring for the Flames in Calgary. Here's Don Whitman.
It's the Bratton with Bridgman. In across the line. Bridgman. Back pass. Radicalio. Radicalio going in. He scores!
Well, again, Mel Bridgman is able to make the pass, this time to Radicalio. A real neat move coming up here. Nobody challenges him, and Radicalio puts it in the net, and the Flames ahead 3-0.
Bridgman's had quite a time out in Calgary. He's played very well for the Flames.
Ever since that trade, Calgary has been doing wonders. Started right in your building, Dick, in Montreal. Your building, but where
I don't own it, not yet, anyway.
Still working on it, right?
Yeah, I'm getting a loan from Gary.
There's Mondu flipping it in front. It'll come over the line, and out the center is Zanussi. Over here is Paymont. Takes his shot. He waited a split second too long, and Robinson got his stick in front of it.
It's been that kind of a year for Wilf Paymont. He has all the tools to be a real quality player. He can skate, he can pass, he can shoot. And, you know, we talk so many times about when guys get into slumps, you hesitate, you don't do things that come naturally. And a lot of times, Dick, you're looking for somebody to pass. You don't want to take the shot yourself. You mentioned Shutt has been in that kind of a slump, and also Lafleur, except for tonight.
Well, those action just spoke about is what I've been watching with Shutt and Lafleur for the last couple of weeks.
Boyne struck shot. That stopped by Sevigny. Into the corner. Paymont bumped by Langway. Langway fell. Paymont tried to hook it back to Boymstruck. Didn't get it very far. Lachlan had a skate in front of it. Now Langway has to go behind the net, and he starts away from Montreal. Stalled for a moment with a forechecking Leafs, and at center it's broken up. Canadiens try to move it in. Lachlan had it for a second. Now it's played in behind loose, and Sevigny again out of the net to clear it into the corner. 3-1 Montreal with 9:50 left in the period. The Leafs done loose in the center ice area. His pass to the other side. Zanussi didn't get too far. Zanussi again lost it, and Boymstruck at the Maple Leaf blue line. Pass through the middle. Canadiens break it up. Leafs come right back, though. This is Mano hitting the line. Mano tried to go in, took his shot from a difficult angle that went up high and on the glass. Lachlan's long pass to Tremblay a little too far out of his reach. He managed to touch it and knocked it in. Now on the boards. Cleared over this way. Robinson stopped it from the blue line. Knocked it in front of the net, and the Leafs started out. Long pass just behind Zanussi and down the ice. And it's icing called against Toronto.
Well, next Saturday night, the first Saturday, or the last Saturday rather, before Christmas, a busy night for Hockey Night in Canada. In Montreal, the Canadiens will be hosting the Boston Bruins in an important Adams Division game. The game to be seen in the Atlantic region, Quebec and British Columbia. The Leafs will be at Winnipeg and Tuxedo Night. That's seen in Ontario, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. Minnesota at Edmonton. In the Edmonton area, the balance of Alberta will see the game between the Flames and the Colorado Rockies. That's 1 week from tonight on Hockey Night in Canada.
9:02 left in the second period. Montreal 3 and Toronto 1. I've got a game to do in Calgary next week, and I'm looking forward to getting a first-hand look at these new Flames. Colorado, though, still having their problems. Canadians can't move it out yet. Leafs keep it in. On the line, that's Risebrough. Hooked it back over the line, and Benning for Toronto. Shoots it back in. That's Picard. Take it over this way. Robert anticipating the move. Robert kept it in. Chance for Hotham. Shoots! Oh! Sevigny just got a piece of it. The Leafs put on the pressure now. Sevigny out of the net, blocking that pass. Trying to clear it. Hotham kept it in. Now Canadians long pass to center, and Benning stopped it. 8:10 left in the period. Off the boards. It comes to Hunter. Hunter trying to tip it out. Robinson helped him. Then Sittler set it up. There's Five breaking in. Couldn't get a shot away. Had his stick lifted. Five again. Centered it. The pass hit Sittler's skate. Melrose circles at center. Sittler getting back out just now, and Five waited long enough. But the Canadians broke it up. Nyland couldn't get very far, and the Leafs shoot it in again. Here comes Five. Rick Five from the corner. He was bumped. Carries on. Trying to knock it over around the net, and the Canadians can't move it out. 3-1 Montreal. 7:30 left in the period. They finally get it to center. Risebrough got away from a check but lost possession. And Gibson for Toronto comes right back to center. Boschman going in. Gets his shot away. Nowhere near the net. Derlego got the rebound to Five. Five takes a look. Nobody in front of the net. Gets it back to the line. Now it's cleared in behind Derlego. Canadians shoot it off the boards, down the ice. Shot, just got rid of it. The Rock may have to play it, so no icing call. And a penalty coming up.
Whoa, Lafleur went in feet first. And he may have been shaken up, I don't know. Boy, he turned on the Jets there, Gary, that time as he knifed through the two defensemen. He broke his stick, and fortunately for him, that's the only thing that's damaged.
Live from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, this is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Boy, you guys are getting good at that. I mean, you just zip through those logs, nothing to it. I can hardly keep up with you guys.
Yeah, we noticed. Well, when you do catch up, we'll be waiting at the cabin.
For years now, Fred and the boys have laid in a little wood for winter and put away a little export ale as well.
We must have got 5 quarts today.
Hey, what do you mean, we?
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that. Come on, I knew you'd say that.
Molson Export Ale keeps on tasting great.
Some extra effort by Lafleur and a penalty against Melrose, Gary.
Well, again, Dick, not a very intelligent penalty to take. So if Lafleur was going to beat those guys to the puck, fine. Somebody cover up because Lafleur was the only guy going. They've just destroyed the momentum that the Leafs had going. They, for 2 minutes now, they had a concentrated attack going. Suddenly, now they have to kill off a penalty.
And the Leafs get it up to center as they try to kill this one on the offensive. A backhand shot in front of Paymont. Another shot. Oh! 78 was down, and the Leafs come within a whisker of scoring. LaPointe back of the net for Montreal. 1:35 left in the Maple Leaf penalty to Melrose. And the Canadians start to move. Down to center goes Shutt. He is stopped near the Maple Leaf blue line. Mano can't get it out. There's Acton cruising back of the net. Acton stops, takes a look. Back to Lafleur, winding up. Gave it to LaPointe. He doesn't shoot it, throws it off to the side. The Rock out of the net. It's cleared back near the line. LaPointe kept it in with Napier. Napier centered it. Mano failed to get rid of it. The Leafs having some trouble moving it out. They get it to the line. Now they move it across. A lead pass to Loose going in. Backhand shot. And that was wide. Paymon has the rebound. Back of the net to Loose. Paymon went after it again. And Lafleur starts away from Montreal with 50 seconds left of the Leaf penalty. Coming in Acton and shot. Stopped by Larocque. Canadians look good on that rush, but Larocque stopped the shot. There's shot again for Lafleur. In along the boards to Napier. The shot in front. He centered it. Acton was stopped by Bunny Larocque. And I'll tell you, folks, this goaltender is playing a great game tonight for Toronto.
Well, one thing about Bunny, Gary, in these last couple of chances the Canadians have had, if they just stop to cradle that puck for just a bit, he recovers.
Well, you have to release it as soon as it's on your stick, but you got to be impressed with the Montreal power play. They move that puck around. They create openings. They headman it, get into position. And a reason why they're second in the National Hockey League in power play statistics, over a 30%, which is certainly very acceptable. But I think the key has to be back on defense with Lapointe and Lafleur. They handle the quarterbacking duties.
And now we're getting more penalties after the face-off.
Mondu for face-off interference, I believe.
Tonight's game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
For Mr. Blake, who sings off-key. For Miguel and Jill and Tom and Lee. For the little girl who lives next door. And that nice boy at the grocery store. For Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Gray, the lady who makes the tears go away.
McDonald's gift certificates, 50 cents each or $5 for a book of 10.
For special people the whole year through. Merry Christmas. From me to you.
From the draw, it slides all the way down the ice into the Canadian zone. Langway back there, just left it. Now the Canadians, Risebrough trying to move it with Langway to Risebrough again. At center is Risebrough hitting the line. Risebrough breaking for the net, was stopped by Gibson. Now he's checked by Gibson back of the goal. The Leafs 5, comes back out. He gets to center for Derlego. Bill Derlego shoots one, that's blocked by Engblom. Melrose is back on the ice. The Leafs now have the man advantage. But here's Mario Tremblay, and it's kicked away by Larocque. The Leafs 5 to center. On a power play now, Toronto, they're trailing Montreal 3-1. Canadians will just shoot it down the ice. Rock stops it back there, and here comes Hotham. Hotham takes his time with a minute left in the penalty to Mondu. The Leafs on a power play coming in with it. Mano stops near the blue line, hands it off to Sittler, shoots, and that's just wide. Robert on this point kept it in, couldn't shoot it though. Robert again fired one into the corner to Sittler, and his drive was stopped by Sevigny, and he covered up. We're having lots of goals in Calgary tonight. We're going to show you yet another one.
3-0 is the score. Conroy from the point. Let go a blast that bounced off the leg. Here's Nystrom breaking up. Tonelli trying to catch up with the play. Nicely, Susie scores! Using Tonelli as a decoy, he beat Conroy.
Well, anytime you get a shot blocked at the point, it spells a lot of trouble. Merrick was able to dump it out. Nystrom does the rest. Lets that good shot go, and the Islanders are on the board. 3-1 in the second period. The Flames leading.
3-1 here. The Canadians leading with 40 seconds left in Mondu's penalty. Back to the line. Robert missed it. Bounced through his skates to center. Mano, though, brings it right back to the line. With Robert, the pass picked off by Gainey. Gainey stops, rags it a bit, throws it back near Robinson, but coming in was Paymon. Paymon gets set now, centered it in front, and Sittler was jammed out of the play and could not shoot it with only 15 seconds left of the penalty to Mondu. Montreal 3, Toronto 1. 3:35 left in the period. Up to center is Sittler. Stopped for a moment. Mano couldn't get by Lafleur. The penalty is now over. Mondu back on. Canadians at full strength. Here's Mondu. Lafleur coming down. And he has Acton shooting. Hurts a rebound. Oh, can't believe it. Larocque came back in front.
Canadians are celebrating as if there was a goal scored. but it's not a goal.
No way that one went in.
What in the world was that all about?
You know, Dick, if I was Larocque, I'd be very upset with the team in front of me. He's playing the game of his career, and he's just not getting the help in front of him.
All right, follow the bouncing puck. Came out one side.
Now, it's amazing that Larocque could get back and to the other side. He was just scrambling away there and was able to smother it. But what an exhibition he's putting on. And a lot of the Canadian shot has been from close in and real good scoring opportunities. And
Larocque, like a rock tonight in goal for Toronto. 3-1 though. Montreal maintaining that 2-goal lead.
Well, Bob, maybe not the game of his life, but he's playing a heck of a game. I have to rephrase that.
Ron Finn, the linesman, having some trouble lining them up. Now they're set. There's a drive from the line. Larocque, no problem. Saginac now on the right side for Toronto. Gets it up to Godden. Godden is stopped. Can't go in around the defense. Melrose! And that glove hand of 70 grabbed it.
Well, we understand Mike Bossy has just scored his 21st of the season. Gary, the Islanders are down 3-0. This makes it 3-2.
Well, you see Bossy in one of his familiar positions in that slot area about 20 feet out. He doesn't waste any time releasing that shot. And, you know, once you get that first goal, sometimes the dam opens up. It's now 3-2. Calgary still ahead.
Langway lost it in front of his own net. The Leafs keep it in. A pass to Saginac. He turns in the corner. Langway has him covered though. Now he gets it loose, kicked it back near the line, and Shutt was there. His pass to Acton to center. Keith Acton finding room over there. Acton into the corner, bumped by Melrose. And the pass comes all the way back to center ice. There's Guy Lafleur turning, twisting again. Comes this way. Look up that stick handling. Threw it in by everybody. The booing certainly didn't bother him. Comes back to Saginac. Right on Lafleur tonight here at the Gardens in Toronto. 3-1 Montreal leading the Maple Leafs with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left in the period. Robinson goes back of the net. Robinson waits. The Leafs just making changes. Now the play starts out. Mano stopped it, let it go, hit Robinson in front of the net. They keep it in on this side. Lachlan trying to bring it out. Gets it as far as center. Down goes Mondu. He breaks for the net. Mondu centered it. And it dribbled by Larocque to the far side away from Tremblay. And it was cleared down the ice. Robinson again. Minute and a half left in the period. Up to center. Tipped in over the line by Lachlan. And the Leafs clear it again to center ice. Billy Derlego comes in. Pass to Vive. Vive on a sharp angle. Can't shoot. Back of the net. It comes back in front. Here's a chance for Mano. Made a great move. Oh! Penalty coming up against Canadiens. And the play is called.
That's on the Lapointe play where he slid out toward the shot. Mano made the move and Lapointe pulled him down, and I think it's Lapointe getting the penalty.
Look, I don't think you're getting a better spot to shoot the puck than Mano was there. But he thought he would be able to sidestep Lapointe. He didn't succeed, but Guy will draw the penalty. And I guess it's almost time for the Leafs if they're going to mount a comeback. It should take place during this next power play.
Well, they have a great opportunity here, Gary, with Lapointe off and a minute and 13 left in the period. And they have already been applying some pressure against Montreal. Now they have the man advantage, every man up. 3-1 Montreal. There's the face-off back to Boimstruck. He gets it over to Mano on the boards. Jarvis couldn't stop him. Vive back of the net for Boschman. Boschman trying to get it back to Vive. The Canadiens, Bob Gainey picks it up and skates to center with a minute left in the period. And Gainey just backhands it in behind the Maple Leaf goal. Boimstruck is back there with 50 seconds left in the period. He starts it. Coming out. The pass to Mano hitting center. In with Derlego. Here's Mano turning up the blue line. Feeds it in behind the net. Sevigny didn't see it. It comes off the boards to Boimstruck. Gainey ran into him. Derlego keeps it in. Derlego gets set, doesn't shoot it. Mano lets it go. And that's gloved by Sevigny. and he hangs on to it with only 30 seconds left in the period.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, on the penalty killing by their Canadiens, you know, they're not allowing the Leafs to set up their strategy out there. They're challenging at every opportunity, and there seems to be a little misunderstanding.
Well, Sevigny is involved. I was going to ask you, Gary, he came out of the net there and almost got caught, and yet one of his defensemen was there as well behind the red line. I think the goaltenders sometimes overdo that, and they've been getting caught. Sevigny got caught badly a week ago against the Flames.
A lot of times it should be communication between your goaltender and your defense. I mean, let's face it, the goaltender has the best view of all. He can see everything that's coming at him, and if he can just let the defenseman know, I've got it or you've got it, and he wouldn't run into that problem.
Murray Boschman is in the penalty box. I don't know whether Sevigny is going to be penalized as well, but that all happened after the fact, following that last Leaf try with the Leafs a man to the good and a point in the box. Now they have been penalized. Still nothing up on the clock. Bruce Hood explains.
Dick, getting back to that penalty killing, you know, when a team challenges like that on the penalty killing role, that's the time that, for the Leafs anyway, you want to get your best puck handlers, best stick handlers out there that have the ability to move that puck real fast. Because if you don't get the opportunity to set up, you know that you have to go another route.
Well, all the players, it's funny down there, they're all looking up at the clock waiting to see what goes up as far as penalties are concerned. The Canadiens, the door at the penalty bench is open on the Montreal side, so it would appear that the Canadiens goaltender, yes, Sevigny has drawn a penalty. 2 minutes, but Boschman has 4.
12, Laurie Boschman, 2 minutes for roughing, a second 2 minutes for roughing, and a 10-minute misconduct. Time 19:30. For Montreal, Richard Sevigny, 2 minutes roughing. For Toronto, Laurie Boschman, 2 minutes roughing, a second 2 minutes for roughing, and a 10-minute misconduct. Time 19:30.
Well, there it is. 14 minutes worth of penalties for Boschman, and that one happened after a rather innocent beginning. It wasn't all that much took place, but enough for Hood to give out the penalties, and there's Boschman where he'll be for the next little while through the last 30 seconds of this period and almost the first 14 minutes of the next in the penalty box. And here we go with the discussions and the explanations and what have you.
Dick, this effort by the Canadiens tonight, is that better than they've been playing, or is that about a par the way they've been playing? It seems like they're moving the puck a lot better and breaking in the holes and skating at least as well, if not better, than when I saw them play against the Oilers a couple of weeks ago.
Well, there's no comparison here tonight, if I may say so, with the last 2 games they played, 6-6, 5-5 in Minnesota and Winnipeg. A lot of skating, a lot more fire to the game, it seems. The Leafs aren't skating with the Canadiens, Gary, in the way the teams have been recently. I don't think either team has really done all that much in the way of skating tonight, but the Canadiens have had the edge, no doubt.
Well, there's only one way to generate scoring chances. You have to get men in there and do a job of forechecking. The Leafs, I would think, on maybe 3 or 4 occasions have had a concentrated attack. Other than that, it's just one shot, out they go.
Well, you were mentioning earlier on how Larocque could sue his teammates for non-support, and that's what the Canadiens are getting tonight that some of the teams haven't been giving them lately. That's a lot of room. Makes a difference.
The hardest thing to do is to make a play when you're harassed or knocked into. I don't care who the forward or who the defenseman is, you're going to have a difficult time. But give a player that 2 seconds, 3 seconds, can do wonders.
Okay, we're finally underway with just 25 seconds left in the period. Sittler from the corner. Sittler trying to get it back. Gets another opportunity over to Mano, to Robert. Germano shoots it, and that's just wide of the net. 10 seconds left in the period as Larocque comes out to stop it and try to hurry a play. He left it for Robert. 5 seconds remaining. Robert might get a shot down the ice. That's about it. And not even that, as the bell goes to end the second period with the Montreal Canadiens coming up with a solid effort to take that lead, and the score at the end of the second period is Montreal 3 and Toronto 1.
Montreal is shooting Toronto 13-6, the margin 21-13 over 2 periods in Montreal's favor. At the beginning of this season, Jerry McNamara held the title of Maple Leafs head scout and still does. And now we can also call him the general manager of the Leafs, and I wonder whether you could tell me whether that is done officially or unofficially.
Well, I think the title, Dave, is acting general manager.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Has there been any difficulty in making things happen and doing the work that you would have done and the work that you assumed because of the situation, uncertainty about Punch Imlach's health and then his situation here? Or do you feel comfortable in what you've done thus far?
Well, I feel comfortable in what I'm doing. I think the biggest drawback is that I'm not getting out to see the juniors as much as I'd like to see them. However, I think that there are a lot of other things that have to be taken care of, and I'm trying to do it.
What priorities would you put on those other things?
Well, I think that we would like to get stronger. Of course, I think every Maple Leaf fan would like to see us get stronger. We're striving to do that, but it isn't easy. When you get in a position that we're in right now, most general managers throw you an anchor and say, I'd like to help you.
It seems that around town there's been the thought that, well, if Buffalo and Detroit can make a blockbuster, anybody should be able to. Have you felt any pressure like that to really shake things up more than you might ordinarily do?
No, I don't think that I'm feeling any pressure. I know that the media has tried to put pressure on us by bringing this thing out that we should make a deal like they did. However, I think that what we have to do is we have to analyze what we're doing and take it slowly so that we're doing the right thing. We don't want to be pressured into making a bad deal. We're trying to make good deals. But this isn't done overnight.
As acting general manager, which you call yourself, would trades be made by the Leafs the same way they'd be made by anybody else? Or do we talk of a triumvirate of yourself and Mike Nicolak and Harold Ballard?
I don't know how anybody else makes trades because I've only worked for the Maple Leafs. However, we've always, in Maple Leaf Gardens, we've always talked it over amongst ourselves and then made a decision.
Where do you think the team needs help the most?
Well, I think that right now, the way we're struggling, I think we need some tough forwards, people who will go into the corners and dig the puck out, and we have some scoring, but it just doesn't seem to be working at the present time.
Mike Nicolak suggests a commitment, a full-scale commitment toward youth. Harold Ballard has given me the impression that he thinks along those lines. Do you?
Yes, I think that that's the secret to building a hockey club. You have to start with youth, and that's what we're endeavoring to do. But we're going to have some tough times. I think we're going to have a lot of heartaches, but we have to be tough enough to withstand the pressure from outside sources and just hang in there and do the best job we can. I think we'll succeed.
And if the heartaches come, don't react too strongly to them and do something you might feel sorry for later. There has to be that.
Well, we're going to get lots of people that are criticizing what we're going to do, but I think that we just have to have a tough hide, and we know that we're on the right track. It's going to take a little bit of time, and I know everybody says time, but that's the thing we have to do. We can't panic into this situation. I think that we're on the right track, and hopefully the young players will come along, and maybe the veterans will pick it up and help out the kids, and from there I think that we'll be a success.
Thank you, Jerry. Good luck.
Thank you.
Jerry McNamara, the acting general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Pro Tips follows next, part 2 of Howie's series on coaching strategies with Al McNeil and Pierre Pagé of Calgary. Hockey Night in Canada returns.
Played the game of hockey. This has to be a familiar scene. Standing around waiting for the coach to decide what he'll do next, or waiting your turn while only 2 teammates use the full ice surface. At the price you pay for ice, it doesn't make sense. Practices, amateur and professional, should be constant movement, using the full ice surface with everyone involved.
Is there much difference between the practices you run as amateur and the practices you run as a professional? No difference?
If you're a coach involved in minor hockey, we think you owe youngsters like this one a practice that is a fun skill-learning experience. Pro Tips brought to you by Zellers. Shop Zellers this Christmas, only you will know how little you pay.
Spend more time teaching skills than you do strategy?
Well, we have a combination now. With me now, we have Pierre Pagé, and he's a good teacher. He's a very good technician. He moves. He understands the nuances of the game, and he works in that area very well with the young fellows. And we were teaching a little bit, but I still like to see a lot more of the teaching done at a lower level than where we're getting them. We like to feel that when we get them at the NHL level that they have a lot of the basic skills, and sometimes when the way the draft and everything is set up today, you're taking the underage fellows, and it's put a strain on, you know, on getting a young player that's a complete hockey player, you know, skill-wise, coming into the league, and you got some work to do on them when they get them.
You just heard Al McNeil confirm that he and most other NHL coaches are constantly using high-tempo speed drills to improve the basic skills of their players. Skills like skating, puck handling, and passing that should have been taught in minor or amateur hockey.
That's the way to do it. That's the way. Stick on the ice. Give him a target. Give him a target. That's it. Give him a target, Dave. Give him a target. That's it. That's a good speed. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good sweep pass. Good sweep pass. Give it your best fake. Head fake, knee fake, exaggerates it. Just a fake drill. Add some fakes, Ronnie. All right, come on, Ronnie. Best move. Good. Good. Add some, make some. Good. Let's go. First guy skates backwards. Now, he's coming on. Come on him, Denny. That's it. Second guy goes towards the guy. Good move. Come on. Make him believe you're going one way. Stay on him. Good. All right. That's it, that's it, that's it. Who's your best move, Bobby? Come on. Try to spin. That's Try to spin. Yeah, all right. That's it. Try to come back here as quick as you can. First man back. What a fucking ball. That's it. All right. Keep yourself between the puck and the man. Keep yourself between the puck and that checker on you. Try to beat him. Try to beat him. That's it. Keep that puck covered. Try to beat him. Try to beat him. Try to do a little spin. One more. Do a little spin, Mike. Do a little spin. One more. That's it. That's it. That's it. Who's your best move, Bobby? Come on. Try to spin. Who's your best move, Mike? Who's your best move, Kevin? That's it. That's it. That's it. Come on, Ronnie. Come on him now. Stay on him, Danny. Stay on him. Good head fake, Mark. Set. Next. Come on, Mark. That's it. Good fake. Good move. Come on. Make him believe you're going one way. Stay on him. It's a backhand and a forehand shot. There's the first guy in line. Okay. Skate backhand and forehand shot. You got Donnie. Okay, give me a pass. Give me a pass here. As soon as you give me a pass, I skate towards him. You come towards me.
You can't forget the goaltender. In today's game, they have to handle the puck as well as anyone. Don Edwards passes right-handed and a backhand pass, and then Zowie a left-handed pass. Coaches, organize your practices, make them fun, work on the individual skills, and the kids will remember you forever.
Be sure to join us for our next Pro Tips when Donnie Edwards and I show...
Canadiens 3 and the Toronto Maple Leafs 1. We're ready for the start of the third period. And the teams are 5 aside as we open up this third. Here's Robert coming back in his own zone behind the net. The pass ahead. Back to Robert. The Leafs on the move now. Out to center and Mano at the line. Mano played it over behind Sittler. Robert will keep it in though. Throwing it up on the glass behind the net, and Mano comes in for it. Mano, a second chance to make a play. He still has it, centered it. It hit a skate and bounced out across the line to center ice. Darryl Sittler waits for Mano, gives it to him at the blue line to center. A good play, Robert coming in. Robert gets set with Paymont in on a sharp angle around the net. Now Paymont moved it back near the line. He centered it, went by Sittler. Sittler again, the shot, the rebound. Robert scores! Robert had 3 opportunities, and the third one was good.
Larry Robinson right out of the play, falling on the far boards. Gary, an early goal like that's a big one.
It certainly is, and Robert again, as Bob had indicated, had a few cracks at it, and finally stuffed it in the net. That's the guy, when he's in that position, the first shot, that's when you have to eliminate him. You saw Larry Robinson try to slide out and prevent the shot being made on the net, unsuccessful.
Well, the Leafs make it a 3-2 hockey game just as LaPointe was coming out of the penalty box.
Dick, we see this game tonight. There has not been much body contact. The Canadiens don't normally play that style of game. They have a couple of forwards and Risebrough and Gainey that will get involved. And on defense, a few guys will hit. But the Leafs, on the other hand, they have to be physical in order to be successful. They have to get in somebody's way because they don't skate that well.
Skating teams like the Canadiens don't care if there's ever a body check thrown. It's the kind of game they like.
Acton with 24 seconds left in the penalty that he is serving for the goaltender, Sevigny. Now 22 seconds as that puck goes flying over the glass into the crowd.
Well, Gary, you said something earlier on. I didn't quite agree with you. I usually agree with you, you know, Gary, except you tell me what your handicap is in the first tee. But you said the Canadiens weren't used to having leads. Well, they have had some leads of late, but they have lost them. 3-1 in Detroit, 6-5 in the final minutes in Minnesota, 5-3 last night, third period in Winnipeg. It's been a problem.
They're leading by 1 now. 3-2, Montreal on top of Toronto. That's a pass to Mondu to center. One man is back. Mondu, great move! And a beautiful save by Bunny Larocque on Mondu. Mondu will try him again. He got in across the line and Melrose stopped him. There's the rebound. It was cleared off his stick, up over the net. The Leafs come back. Gerlego trying to find room now to shoot it down the ice. He was stopped by Robinson. The Canadiens with the man advantage shoot it back in. Melrose hurries back. In behind the net, he played it up on the boards, and it's cleared out to the center ice area. In the Boschman penalty now, there are 1 minute and 30 seconds left. The Canadiens moving in. Napier dropped into Acton. Scores! Acton, bullet shot. Nice play by Napier. And the Canadiens have that 2-goal lead again.
Second goal of the night for Acton, his second on a power play.
Dick, that is so well played. You know, when you drop a pass like that, and it was a perfect shot just inside the corner, you can't do much like that when you're defending.
Second on a power play.
Dick, that is so well played. You know, when you drop a pass like that, and it was a perfect shot just inside the corner, you can't do much like that when you're defending, but that is what you call a well-executed drop pass.
Napier put it right on the money for Acton, who had the time, Gary. Of course, the Canadiens had the extra man, but he had time to wind up, pick the target inside the post, and the Canadiens quickly go back up again by 2.
Now you watch Larocque. He's coming out to challenge, but that puck was in a perfect location just inside the right-hand goal post, and the Canadiens are up by 2 again.
2:08, the time of the goal. Now Langway in his own zone. Shutt played it out over the line to center ice, and Saganuk has it, dropped it back. Boymstruck nearly hit Lafleur with that pass to Mano up to center. Loose, couldn't stop it. Here's Lafleur. He can't get by Boymstruck. Saganuk at center for Toronto. Paymont is coming in. Couldn't go by Langway. Langway went after him, cleared it back at the net, and Engblom takes over. Nearing the 3-minute mark of the third period. It's 4-2 Montreal. As Luce picks it up in the center ice area, and then they hold it on the boards. Acton was there holding it with a skate, and the play is called. From Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
I've got a story for all you people who use MasterCard just to go shopping. I used it for my moving expenses. I got a new tire in Laval, a tow in Pembroke, and a battery in North Bay. I even got a cash advance when I ran short in Sudbury. And now that that's over with, I'll have a record of this unforgettable trip when I get my MasterCard statement. It's not like I use it every day, but I'm sure glad I had it on this trip.
MasterCard. Such an intelligent way to cope.
Thank you, MasterCard.
Bob Cole with Dick Irvin and Gary Dornhofer. 4-2 is the score. The Canadiens with a 2-goal lead. Leafs got within 1 on the goal by Robert. And then Acton with that bullet shot on the stick side of Larocque. Here's Robinson coming in. Nearly got around Hotham. In back of the net to the corner it goes. Maloney comes back to help for Toronto. Holds it there for a moment, now gets loose. Stops in the corner. Clipped it out in front of the net, and it's cleared to the line and out. Maple Leafs coming down. Maloney comes in, but offside was Robert. Good 10 feet ahead of Maloney.
Well, Dan has still been a very good acquisition to the Leafs lineup through the course of the year. He has been in and out of the lineup. He has been hurt a few times, never complained, but when he gets out there, you know he's going to give you a good effort. Reminds me a lot, you know, as far as skating of myself. I wasn't the fastest guy, and sometimes you have to cheat a little bit. You just don't let a guy that has that speed get too far ahead of you, or you know you're in trouble.
You're modest, Gary.
Canadians start out. Tremblay to center. His pass stopped. Melrose played it over on the right side, and Maloney was slow in coming back out. Was trapped offside.
Well, there's Mark Napier, who's having a pretty good season with the Canadiens, playing in an unusual role, Gary, an offensive-type player, moved in with two defensive players, Jarvis and Gainey. They've been together all season.
I think he can handle any situation, but what a great play he made that. He had Gibson turn so that Gibson was out of the play, and then Acton just moved in for that good shot. When you can set up a play like that and eliminate that defenseman so he can't get back in the play, you've done quite a thing.
Langway and Engblom on the Canadian defense. Langway played it up on the left wing, and the Canadians move it to center. It's cleared in by Mondu right on the net. Rock stopped it easily. Tremblay stopped the pass. It comes off a stick to center, and it's Robert coming in. Robert faked the shot. Got away from his man. Maloney centered it. Sittler just missed it. Now Sittler again. Stopped it in the corner. It hit a stick, and Tremblay hammered it out to center ice. Lachlan shoots along one end. The Canadians change now as the play starts from the Maple Leaf zone. Up on the left wing, Derlego missed the pass from Gibson. It slides in, and Lapointe is back for Montreal. For Hunter. He just let it go out to center ice. And the Canadians, Nyland. He's up over the line. Nyland goes to the corner. Mano winning to check him. Nyland after the gate centered it. Oh, what a save by Larocque. It came in front of Risebrow, and Risebrow, let me tell you, was robbed.
How about that for reflexes?
Oh, off the boards, it's cleared down the ice. And coming back is Mano. Icing is called against Montreal.
Well, there's Doug Risebrow, and he is talking to himself and others, I guess, about that one, and looks down at his old buddy, Bunny Larocque. What a stop Larocque made.
Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on CBC, Super Comedy with this man, Wayne and Schuster. Johnny Wayne and Frank Schuster, of course, will present a bizarre science fiction drama. Tomorrow night on CBC, Super Comedy, Wayne and Schuster. Great hockey fan, too, this guy. And his team right here in the blue and white shirts behind the Canadians. It's 4-2, Montreal. Here's Lafleur on the fly. Played it in front. Shot, got it over. Shot again. Shoots. And Larocque was right there covering up. Acton had the first chance and then shot. Now the Leafs have to be careful trying to clear it. Godden gets to center and shoots it into the Canadian zone. 70 played it high on the glass. There was Godden anticipating. Godden gets in front. Here's Godden. Couldn't get a good shot away. Made a good move, but failed to get a shot on the net. Penalty coming up now against Montreal. Engblom. Tonight's game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Next, a consumer report with some financial advice.
I need money, not advice.
So did I, and I did something about it.
You asked for a raise?
No. Lori and I started our own Amway business. We're building financial independence as Amway distributors part-time. And the extra income helped buy this car.
Sounds like you discovered a better life.
Oh, with Amway. So can you.
Contact an Amway distributor and get the whole story.
5:37 of the third period. Brian Engblom is penalized. Holding is the call, and there he puts the grab on the Toronto player. So the Leafs, down by 2, are now up by 1 in the manpower department.
And there's the face-off. Godden again on there for Toronto. Flipped it to the side of the net. Gainey covering with Robinson, getting it to center. Canadians came close to breaking out with a 2-on-1. Now Jarvis keeps it into Gainey. Gainey gets to the side of the net, spins around with it. Gainey tried to get it back, and Vive picked it up for Toronto. Vive to center. Here comes Godden again, breaking in. Got the backhander off the stick up high on the glass, and it's called.
Well, Godden wasn't even supposed to play in tonight's game. He still has a slight groin pull. Terry Martin came down with an injury in Washington the other night, so here he is. see the stats on the Leafs. They have yet to score a shorthand, or have not allowed a shorthanded goal. You have to be aware, though, with the Canadiens, they're always on the attack, even when they're killing a penalty. The difference has been the Leafs have just not hit the blue line at full stride. The Canadiens with a lot of speed at that blue line.
The Leafs on this power play, Robert, and that's stopped by Sevigny, flying into the corner near the line. Mondu, and he didn't waste any time. He shoots it down the ice. There's a penalty coming up now against Bide, and there'll be more penalties as they begin fighting. Bide throwing the right hands in at Gila Point. They let him go at it.
Color set show that Guy has a blue sweatshirt underneath that red, white, and blue hockey shirt. It didn't take long. You know, Gary, you were talking to me and asking me before the game about Guy Lapointe. I can tell you that this has been a comeback year for Guy in many ways. From a physical standpoint, playing hockey, from a mental standpoint, his outlook on the game. And it has been, I think, the most positive, along with maybe Mondu, the most positive new thing about the Canadiens this year. He has played not back to All-Star form, Canada Cup form certainly, but back to form, and he's made a big difference.
This is Hockey Night in Canada from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Energizer.
Mom, can we play the radio all night?
All night. Good thing I bought the Energizer.
Of all leading brands, nothing outlasts the Energizer from Everready. Nothing outsnaps it. Nothing outadds, outwalks, outplays, outtapes, outshines, outlasts it. Nothing.
The Energizer even outlasted Susie.
The Energizer.
Energizer. For life.
Long life.
Energize me.
Lapointe, 2 minutes for interference, 5 minutes for...
Well, Lapointe gets a total of 7.
Number 22, Rick 5. 2 minutes for high sticking, 5 minutes for fight.
And likewise, 7 minutes.
Well, Dick, it was interesting. You mentioned about the confidence as we look at the battle in front of the net with Lapointe and Vive, and Sevigny even got involved. But that's how everything started. Got very rough there for a period of time.
Hammering each other.
But again, you talked about confidence, and it looks like Guy is, he's just exuberant about that confidence aspect. Everything he does reflects that. And Mondu, he did a lot of work over the summer that certainly helped him, with power skating and everything. And I guess when he was put on the penalty killing role, that had to help him too.
Here's Sittler coming in, and Mano has a chance. Mano takes a shot. That's blocked by Sevigny. Canadiens shoot it out to center ice. Here's Gainey on a race. Gainey is there, knocked down, in the net he goes. He went right by a rock. The hole works, and as you see, Bob Gainey, full effort on the race, was upended.
There's going to be a penalty on the play. That's a tough spot for a goalie. I know they try to help the fella sliding in, but when you're sliding in that quickly,
I think Larocque actually did help Gainey out in this play. He got in front of him to try to cushion the blow. But there is your speed that we're talking about, how you draw penalties. Gainey with that good burst of speed. Robert had to haul him down.
Well, it happened twice. It happened in the last period with Lafleur outracing the defense and drawing a penalty, and Melrose right there.
But watch Larocque. He hangs right in there. He could have got out of the way, but he probably saved a serious injury. So goaltenders are not all that bad.
You said they were. It's because they used to wrap you in the ankles once in a while. Just keep you honest.
They had no choice, Dick. Right, Dorney?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mano, lost to DeRisebrow. Winds up, did not shoot it, played it in back of the net. Here comes Mondu again. He shoots it into the corner. Sittler going in, watching Risebrow. Risebrow holds it with a skate. Now they might get a whistle. No, it comes loose, and it bounced in front of the Leaf net. Paymon is turning around with it. Starting out. The play to Sittler. Down with Paymon on his right. Sittler coming in, and his shot deflected up high into the crowd.
Well, with this game here tonight, the Canadiens meeting Darryl Sittler and company. They now have played all 20 opponents. They saw Minnesota, Winnipeg, and Toronto this week for the first time. Don't know how the Leafs stand that way. Tom Watt out in Winnipeg was telling me last night that they play Detroit tomorrow night. They're in the same division as the Red Wings, the Jets and the Wings. It's the first time those teams will have played this year. They've got 7 games left starting tomorrow night.
Well, Mike Nicolak had mentioned, he said, look, we're running out of games. I mean, it's still early in the season, but the further you fall behind, the tougher it is to get those points back. And he still feels that they're not getting the leadership from the guys that should be leading. And, of course, he wouldn't mention any names, so we just speculate.
Will you mention names?
Well, just ask me.
Just did.
Gainey looked for it for a second. It went by in front of Jarvis. He took a shot from the boards. And LaRocque had no problem with that one. Engblom is back on the ice. Coming down. Boyne struck. Up over the line, tried to stick handle in, and Robinson calmly took it away. Brings it back to center for Montreal. Robinson coming in. Great move by Robinson. Right in on goal. Oh, what an effort. And then lost it right in front of the goaltender. There's Robinson again trying to flip it in front. Lafleur up the line, couldn't stop it. Paymon racing down. Paymon goes in, faked the shot. Lafleur winding up. Gets to the line. Here's Lafleur's neat pass to Schutt. Schutt closing in. And it's stopped by LaRocque. Knocked up over the net and bounced it right down in front, then was cleared. Nearing the 9-minute mark of the third period, the Canadiens lead 4-2. Coming in is Acton for Schutt. For Picard. Hard shot just wide on the short side of the net. Now Schutt goes in looking for it against Melrose, who holds it with his skate. No whistle yet. It's knocked loose back of the net. There's Lafleur. Robert is back on the ice now for Toronto. Lafleur into Acton. That's Acton behind the net. Couldn't center it. He was bumped. Lafleur got a stick on it, but the Leafs covered up in time, and then they cleared it down the ice. That's Picard, and icing is called against Toronto. With a score of Montreal 4, Toronto 2, this is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
I'm holding this press conference on my new Panasonic Omnivision home video recorder.
Only Reggie.
For the next 6 hours.
6 hours?
You'll see my greatest plays.
In slow motion. High speed.
Freeze frame. And OmniSearch lets you find your favorite part.
Do you believe this?
The end.
Look who's here!
I wish this wireless remote could control the press.
Panasonic 6-hour Omnivision.
Regivision.
There you see Guy Lafleur and that cut Dick Irvin mentioned earlier in the game tonight being booed quite a bit by the fans here in the Gardens this evening.
It means they love you. They love you. It happened to Gretzky in Montreal the last time the team played. They were booing him.
Bobby Orr right here in this building.
So you've got it made when they boo you.
Gary Dornhofer right here in this building.
They threw things at me, didn't boo me.
There's Tremblay trying to center it. Out to the line. Langway's shot is deflected on the glass. Coming in. Gerlego tries to knock it loose. He does for Boyne struck. But Tremblay moving up on the play, cleared it back to the net. That's Mondu. They hold it there for a second. Canadiens trying to move it in front of the goal. Leafs trying to cover up. It comes right in front. They score! Fantastic. The way the Canadiens stayed with it. All of a sudden, Mondu was in front all along.
You know, I can't believe on this one just how the Leafs let Mondu just stand there. Craig Laughlin, the newest Canadian, is the one who did the battling in back of the net. And he just hung tough all the way. Mondu, look at him. Front of the net, Gary, look.
Nobody around, and that's just lack of communication again by the Leafs. They had two men behind the net, and Nicolak had mentioned this is the problem we've been having. You know, the mistakes that should not be made right now. You know, we've made so many through the course of the year that you should improve in that aspect, but we haven't. We've stayed about the same, if not gotten worse at times.
9:51 the time of the goal, the fifth for Montreal tonight. It's 5-2 now. Robinson for Montreal. Up to center, Robert stopped it. And Picard reached out with a stick and knocked it over the boards at the Canadiens bench. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
A $500 rebate check direct from Ford of Canada on these new 81 Ford and Mercury cars and light trucks at low 81 prices. The date's been extended through December 31st. So hurry in, make your best deal and take delivery and get $500 direct from Ford. Check into your Ford or Mercury dealer. Buy at low 81 prices and get your $500 from Ford.
Force. The Leafs tonight, Sittler and Robert. For the Canadiens, Lafleur, Acton, Hunter, Acton again, and then Mondu moments ago at 9:51. They have 9:45 remaining in the game. 5-2 Montreal. Benning played one to center. Hunter shoots one ahead. That's knocked down at the line. Here comes Hunter. Snapped it, he scores! Bullet shot by young Mark Hunter, and it's 6-2.
Well, that's Hunter's second goal of the night, and for the rookie, number 8 on the year.
Now, Dick, you gain that blue line. You're just asking for trouble. Leafs backing in, and a slap shot that seemed to rise on Bunny Larocque caught the top of the corner. But the Canadiens are vintage Montreal that we're seeing right now. They're head-manning the puck, making the good plays, and it only took 38 seconds to get their sixth goal from time that they had made it a 5-2 lead. So Canadiens are on a roll right now.
10:29, the time of that goal. There's Sittler in for Maloney. Went by him. Maloney from the corner to the line, kept in by Hotham. Jarvis was there for Canadiens. Gainey has to come back. Out near the line, but not over. Hotham comes in. Can't shoot it. Hotham bumped on the boards by Langway, and Gainey just cleared it out across the blue line. There's Napier racing in against Gibson. Gibson stopped him the first time and the second time, and then Robert came back. Robert for Sittler. That's knocked away at center ice. Here's Gibson picking it up for Toronto. Dropped it back for Sittler. He didn't see it. Acton flipped it to center ice. Montreal 6 and Toronto 2. Lead pass. Acton racing in, and Larocque out of the net to clear it up along the boards to center. There's Guy Lafleur shooting along one end. Larocque will stop this behind the net, and Wolf Paymon starts away for Toronto. Coming out is loose to Paymon. Paymon skates across center, going in with Zanussi. A pass, Zanussi missed it. Got it a second time, gave it back in front. It comes to loose, and then Paymon just booted it in the general direction of the net. It just missed. Offside will be called now unless Canadiens clear it. They do. Acton to center, shoots it in. That's Larocque out of the net again with 7:50 remaining. Wilt Paymon missed the pass. It comes down near the Canadian line. Trombley just poked it ahead, and the Leafs back. Melrose dumped it out to center ice. There's Robinson. Robinson just played it off to the left side. It comes over here, and Mondu is in again. This is Mondu to Trombley. Back to Mondu. He got it in front and was upended, tried to clear it back, and it went down the ice. Saganuk after it, centered it. Derlego was stopped by Sevigny, and the goaltender hangs on to the rebound. Live from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, this is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Okay, fruit juice, tissues, what else for you cold?
Oh, Alice, cold medicine, of course.
Instant or regular?
Instant cold medicine?
Sure, Drista and Mist. What would you call a decongestant and antihistamine that goes to work in less than a minute? Instant cold medicine. Right. A cold is no fun, that's for sure. So when you want to get your nose unstuffed fast...
Drista and Mist.
Why wait to breathe?
Now, Richard Sevigny just made as good a save as he's made all night. What do you say, Gary, about that last shot of Hunter's? A Montreal fan says great shot. Leaf fans might say Bunny blew it.
Well, it looked like in luck of all, Dick. It seemed to rise on Larocque, but he's had a lot of work tonight, and things just not getting any easier for him.
Mano's shot is gloved by Sevigny. Rather easy save up high. And the Canadiens, Risebrough comes to center. Risebrough shoots it in. And here's Hunter looking for it against Larocque, who got it away. Derlego's long pass on an open wing. Montreal 6 and Toronto 2 with 6:50 left in the game. Mano behind his own net. It comes in front. He nearly lost it. He did. Risebrough turns around. It comes to Hunter. Took a shot. And that was blocked by Larocque. Boymstruck trying to clear it to Mano. He will bring it out. The pass ahead. Now coming in is Godden. Godden and Derlego. Godden couldn't shoot it. And Sevigny into the corner for Gainey. He just holds it there with a skate. Now Robinson goes in to help. It's cleared along the boards, but not out. Kept in by Hotham. Still no whistle. Hotham knocked it loose and hit the side of the net. We'll get a whistle now with Sevigny hanging onto it. We have more scoring out there in Calgary. A lot of goals out there tonight. Here's Don Whitman with the latest.
Six fly as Reinhardt has lost his stick. Back to the point. Potvin to the other side. Johnson, a shot. He scores!
Now the Islanders on the power play, and Potvin threw it over to Johnson, and he lets that slap shot go. Riggin got a piece of it, but deflected into the net. So they're tied at Calgary at 3. The Islanders battle back.
They're down 3-0.
Again, Dick, I thought that the Leafs would come out this period throwing their weight around, trying to hit somebody. That hasn't materialized. That's the only way you're going to slow down a Montreal team, is get in front of them, start hitting them against the boards. You let them skate, you've seen the result of it.
The Leafs got to within 1 goal of the Canadiens. For the most part, they've been within 2. Now they're within 4. 6-2. Montreal leading. Maloney from his own blue line. Hotham's pass hits Sittler on the skate, and the Canadiens clear it back down the ice. Jarvis went after it, was stopped. Napier poked it back. Napier gets it again from Engblom. Just rolled it over the Maple Leaf blue line, and the Leafs shoot it down the ice. Goes in near the line and over it, but no icing. It was waved off. Langway. Long pass at the line. Hit Acton. He couldn't knock it down. Gibson for Toronto. From center, shoots it in. Sevigny covering for Langway. Langway's pass. Only couldn't stop it. Lafleur's belted by Gibson, but here comes Acton. Acton faked the shot. Shot knocked it up the net. And it was stopped by Larocque. Back for Robert to center. Robert up over the line with Sittler and Maloney. Robert doing good work. Center to Maloney. Right in. And he was robbed by Sevigny from close range. Back from Montreal. In on the wing goes Acton. That was stopped. Cleared into shot off the boards. Back to the line. Picard took a shot. And that was blocked and cleared back to center ice. Robinson ahead. Steam shot. Bumped off the puck by Melrose. And the Maple Leafs with 4:35 left in the hockey game. That's loose to Zanussi. At the line, he shoots it in. They're offside, and it's called back.
Canadiens winless in their last 6 games on the road. 3 losses and 3 ties. Their last road win was back on November 14th in Vancouver. Well, the St. Louis Blues have done the Canadiens a favor, beating the Quebec Nordiques by a score of 6-4 tonight. Mark Tardif with a couple of goals. And Buffalo in Detroit. Mike Foligno scored what proved to be the winning goal in that game, Gary. 4-2, Sabres winning. And Gilbert Perreault with a hat trick for the Sabres. When you know it, it was 2-2, and Foligno scored to make it 3-2.
What do you think of that trade, Dick?
Well, I'll tell you, Buffalo right now, they've lost only 2 of their last 13 games, and they have 4 wins and a loss since the trade. I thought it might be even Steven right now. Sabres. That's Jimmy Roberts' first game back of the bench, too, Bob.
Right.
Buddy of yours.
Yes, indeed. Delighted to see him get an opportunity to take over as head coach, and he's delighted, too. He's been waiting a long time for this opportunity. And I think he'll be a good one, Dick. Jimmy Roberts. There's Hotham for Toronto. Up to Luce. Knocked it in across the line, and here comes Zanussi. He bumped with his man. Puck is still there. Luce went after it. Now it's held along the boards, and it's called. With the score, Montreal 6 and Toronto 2. This is Hockey Night in Canada.
Darlinger, do you know what day it is? It's Herbert D. Langley Day.
Who's Herbert D. Langley?
He gave us our first surprise holiday. One day we had to shut down production because we didn't have stock. Herbert wasn't using long distance to phone suppliers. With long distance, you control stock immediately and eliminate costly mistakes.
Where's Herbert now?
We're not sure.
Business long distance. Today's way to operate.
Bob Cole, Dick Irvin, and Gary Dornhofer. Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. The Montreal Canadiens on the verge of racking up 2 points over Toronto. They're leading by 4 goals. 3:45 left. And they're on the move again. Hunter comes up, puts a shot on Larocque, and he stopped it with a stick. Paymont was back. Canadians keep it in. 2 halves bump together and go flying.
Best hit we've seen tonight, right there.
It's the only hit
The
we've
only
seen
hit.
tonight.
I was talking to Harold Ballard this morning, and he said, you know, some of your best hits are usually when 2 players of the same team collide, and that was an excellent one.
Rick Chartrand one night in Montreal a couple of years ago hit Pierre LaRouche and dislocated his shoulder close to it.
All right, here we go, gang. Wasn't that great?
Hunter and Nyland.
I did that with McLeish once. I ran into him. I had a fractured cheekbone, and he just had a headache for an hour.
Hunter better watch it. Nyland usually comes up swinging. They're over on the bench now. There's Gainey coming back for Montreal to center. Got in over the line. The shot, easy save for Larocque. He threw it away quickly to Mano. And the Leafs get it up to center with 3:05 left in this hockey game. 6-2 is the score. Montreal leading. Boschman to center. Boschman, having served the misconduct penalty, is stopped on the boards. The Canadians will clear it. Jarvis to Gainey. Up to center, and he shoots it in, and now the Canadians change as the Leafs go back, and Mano starts away. His pass to Boimstruck. Acton knocked it off his stick, but Mano takes over again. Mano ahead to Derlego. Up over the line he goes, took a shot. That was blocked, and Acton feeds it off to Schott. He couldn't control it. It was out of his reach. Langway coming back. 2:25 left. Langway weaves his way across the line to center. Here's Acton on the fly again. And Fly is right. He went spinning off his skates into the boards. Back for Robert. Took a shot. Knocked away by Sevigny, and it's cleared down the ice by Montreal. This is going to be called for icing as Hopcom goes back. 2:05 left in this game, and right after the game, of course, all kinds of information and scores. Here's Brian McFarland.
On the NHL tonight, right after the hockey game, we report the scores and the hockey news. Tonight we have a man who may make the news. Alan Eagleson will be a guest of Dave Hodge, so don't go away. The NHL tonight follows.
It's 6-2, Montreal with 2 minutes left in the hockey game. Here's Robinson getting up some steam to center. Robinson leads this attack, played it off on the left side. It comes back to him. Robinson couldn't get the shot. Mondu again back in the net. Robinson took a shot finally, and Larocque had it taped and made another big save.
All right, Larry's had some pretty good chances, Gary, going right back to the first minute of the hockey game. Look at that. He's kind of smiling about that.
He's just shaking his head, but good work by the Canadians. When Robinson was in there offensively, somebody was back at the blue line to cover up his position. And coaches, they certainly don't mind defensemen going when the opportunity presents itself, but it's important for a winger that when he sees this, he has to cover up.
Here's Keith Acton, number 12. I think he has been the guy who's made it go tonight for the Canadiens. I'm not saying that just because he has a couple of goals in the hockey game, but he's that speed in motion all the time.
That speed, you know, you create openings with that speed of yours. Your defense, they have to back up. You gain that blue line, and you saw the result, and the Leafs just not able to cope with that.
Best game he's played in quite a while.
Offside, skates him over center. Go ahead, fellas.
Last year here, the Canadiens and the Leafs split. The Canadiens won 5-4, the Leafs 6-5. The Canadiens won both games in Montreal. This one 6-2 and counting with 1:39 left.
But it's interesting as we watch this game, when you got things going your way, the passes are smooth, everybody's skating. You put the puck on the guy's stick, and when you're struggling, the passes are behind you in your skate. You can't control them, and that's what the Leafs have gone through tonight.
So do I know that feeling. I'm sorry, Bob. Oh, boy.
Okay, Risebrough comes to center for Canadians. And gets the draw. Calmly flipped it in. Gibson shoots it back out to Robert. 1.5 left. Maloney comes in. Took a shot. The rebound was set up, but Langway was there to cover. At center, Nyland for Montreal. Brings it in over the late line. Nyland shoots one. That was deflected away from the net. And the Leafs, Dan Maloney gets it up to Sittler. Darryl Sittler is stopped at the Canadian line with 1:10 left to play in the game. Montreal 6 and Toronto 2. Langway backhands it in behind the net. That's Hotham coming out. Here's Hotham up to the line. He comes to center. Got a good move there. Moved it up to the line, and then Gainey grabbed it. 55 seconds left now, with Napier getting the pass at the Leaf line. Shoots it in behind the net. 45 seconds to play. It's Paymont's pass to Godden. Tried to get by Gainey and couldn't. Paymont carries on as he trailed. There's Paymont getting set. Gets his shot away, and 70 blocked it. 30 seconds left to play in the game. Gainey couldn't clear it. Hotham shot, knocked down the rebound to Godden, and he was covered by Robinson. It trickles across the line. Gainey tried to poke it down the ice for Napier. Just missed it. Now Saginaw. 15 seconds left. Saginaw to Godden. Godden gets in position. Gets right in front of the net, was upended, and the puck goes into the corner, and Sevigny trying to clear it. Flipped it off the glass into the crowd with only 7 seconds remaining.
Guy Lapointe at the end of the Canadiens bench with a towel around his neck, and that's where he's been since the penalty expired. He was off with 5 after their rather vigorous fight. Whether he was injured or not, I don't know, but he has not played since leaving the penalty box.
Well, not a very pleasant sight at the Leafs bench. Again, the old phrase, let's go back to the drawing board. The Maloneys, the Sittlers, Robert, your experienced players, the leaders in your hockey club, they got to get things going.
This is their 13th home game. They've won only 3.
Well, they don't make teams suffer in here, you know, knock people down. That's what they have to start doing.
Melrose takes the shot with only 3 seconds left. It comes back where Lafleur takes over. And that's all she wrote in this one, with the Canadiens opening up a 4-goal spread in the 3rd period and win it going away.
Well, Gary, not only that, you just mentioned that this was not a physical game, certainly, but the Leafs just couldn't skate with the Canadiens tonight.
I agree there, Dick. And another thing, Canadiens broke up a lot of plays at their own blue line where the Leafs tend to back in. And, of course, when you do that with the likes of Acton and Mondeau, they gain that blue line, and then they can set up those plays.
Okay, gentlemen, Dick Irvin and Gary Dornhofer. In just a moment, our Molson Cup 3-star selection.
Imagine a microwave oven that doesn't take up an inch of counter space. Imagine it not taking away your toaster space, blender space, workspace. A product of your imagination? No, a product of General Electric. The General Electric Space Maker oven. It goes above your range, leaves your counters clear, and has an exhaust fan and light for the range below. The General Electric Space Maker microwave oven. GE. We bring good things to life.
With everything Canadian Tire sells, you might think our name should be Canadian Auto Parts. And fishing. Sporting goods. And camping. And plumbing. And houseware. And home improvement. And hardware. But you can call us Canadian Tire for short. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are tonight's Molson Cup 3-star selections. The first star, Keith Acton. The second star, Larry Robinson. And the third star, Guy Lafleur.
Well, the Canadiens find better times in Toronto, and the Leafs are almost accustomed to having the visiting team leave with that thought in mind, with a better feeling. Keith Acton had 2 goals and an assist, was a spark plug up front for the Montreal Canadiens. Rookie Mark Hunter also had a pair of goals, and as we said in the second intermission, the Canadiens showed much better defensive hockey tonight than they have been playing, at least in the last 3 games. We invite you to stay tuned for the NHL tonight. We will return with Hockey Night in Canada in a moment.
Small copiers, small prices. Small copiers, small prices. Small copiers, small prices. This way, brothers. Small copiers, small prices. Small copiers, small prices. Small copiers, small prices.
Big copiers?
No, small prices. Small copies, small prices.
When a visiting delegation asked Brother Dominic to match their very fussy requirements to their particularly small means, he simply introduced them to one of the fussy and stingy copiers from Xerox. And because Xerox has more small copiers than anyone else, they found one that was just the right size, just the right quality, and also solved the problem of their particularly small purse.
And the price, Brother Dominic? It's a miracle.
And now, live from Toronto, the NHL Tonight, featuring the scores, stories, and stars from tonight's NHL game. Your host, Brian McFarland.
Thank you, Dick. The Montreal Canadiens, winless in 6 road games coming into Maple Leaf Gardens tonight, turned it on in the third period, defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-2. Acton and Hunter were 2 goal scorers for Montreal. Lafleur and Mondeau got the other. Sittler and Robert replied for Toronto. In their last 21 meetings between the two clubs, Montreal has now won 15, lost only 2. The Islanders in Calgary fought to a 3-3 tie tonight, and the Calgary Flames, since the deal for Lanny McDonald, have won 7 and lost only 3. Nystrom, Bossy with his 21st, and Janssen that is, for the Islanders. Clement McDonald got his first goal as a Flame, and Radicalio for the Flames. Quebec, after losing only 1 of 10, have now dropped 3 in a row this week. St. Louis defeated Quebec 6-4 tonight. The Vancouver Canucks, a solid second-place team in the Smythe Division, are in Los Angeles tonight. No word on that action yet. This afternoon, the New York Rangers knocked off Philadelphia, leaders in the Patrick Division, right at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. 5-3 the score. Taloff has had a pair of goals. Duguay, Pavlich, and Rutsalinen for the Rangers. Prop, Leach, and Botel for the Philadelphia Flyers. In the first game between Detroit and Buffalo since the big deal, Buffalo came through the winner 4-2, but Perreault overshadowed all the other principals in the trade. He had 3 goals tonight. Foligno had 1 for the Sabres, Larson and Curtin for Detroit. Colorado won their 5th game of the year tonight, 4-2 over Hartford. And Washington, coming off that 11-2 trouncing of the Toronto Maple Leafs in Washington last night, lost to Pittsburgh, a final just in, 7-4, the Penguins over Washington. Pittsburgh lost 3 in a row prior to tonight's game. Chicago and Minnesota, leaders in the Norris Division, are meeting tonight in Minnesota, and after 2 periods of play, it's Minnesota 4, Chicago no score. And now a controversial guest is with us tonight, Alan Eagleson. He has a lot to say about a lot of subjects. Here he is with Dave Hodge.
The main issue tonight, Brian, is the federal budget as it affects hockey players on Canadian teams, and Al Eagleson strongly suggests they would be much better off moving to the United States, playing there, and he's predicting a significant exodus in that direction. Al, should Canadians in other walks of life who may also be affected adversely by the budget react sympathetically to the so-called plight of people earning money in 6 figures?
It's difficult to assume that that'll take place, Dave, but my job as head of the Players Association, as advisor to these players, is to tell them what's in their best interest. People forget that hockey players have an average career now of 5 years, an average age in the National Hockey League of 5 years. A player playing in Buffalo who makes $100,000 a year after everything is deducted will wind up with, after all of his taxes paid, with $47,000 if he's in the 100 bracket. In Toronto with $22,000. In Montreal, $13,000. At the 200-a-year level, in Buffalo with $80,000. In Toronto, $62,000. And in Montreal, $41,000. Under the IAC scheme, which was structured for professional athletes, for authors, for entertainers, for people who have unusual careers. You had Scott Young on the other night. He wrote the Conn Smythe book. My guess he didn't write it in this year. He took probably 3 years to do it. But he got all his money probably in this year, in part in next year. Under the old system, he would have been able to put that money into IACs and structure his payments in a way that over the next 15 years, he could have been paid back for that 3 or 4 years' work.
We don't want to sound like accountants here, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but you say unusual careers, also lucrative careers compared to the careers of other people. And I'm just wondering, is there not more fiber in this country that there's nothing beyond the balance of a tax return?
Well, I suppose...
Should we all leave if we can?
No, well, I suppose that if you're a doctor, as they've done, a lot of doctors have gone to Houston for other reasons. Tax reasons are something that hit you in the pocketbook. The IAC gave the player a break, and the player needed that break. an IAC gave the player and taught him how to save, and that's what I've been trying to teach hockey players to do for a long, long time. A player could take $100,000 of that $200,000 salary and tuck it away for 15 years and preserve it for him and his family. Invested in Canadian industry, invested in insurance companies and trust companies. Again, it sounds a little upsetting, I'm sure, to people making $15,000, $25,000. Why do these players need the break? Because they have this short career. You've got players out there tonight that people have never seen before.
Yeah, but I think there'd be some people who'd trade their long careers for the short ones of hockey players so they could make the money in 4 or 5 years.
I wonder, Dave. I know of no lawyer who would rather be a hockey player. Short term, yes.
You.
I don't know. Oh, no. I learned quickly. Better I should be a lawyer.
You look good on the ice. You know, not to some people, but listen, Al, one of your major clients, Daryl Sittler, has for several years now persisted in saying he would rather play here in this city, presumably that means in this country too, for other reasons, realizing he could make more money elsewhere. Now, does that change his thinking?
No. I think, Dave, that there are a lot of reasons. I would rather be a lawyer in Toronto than earn more money in New York City, and I think that applies to hockey players. But as an advisor, I have to point out the shortfalls in the budget to the hockey players. I think the budget has attacked a very small group for the wrong reasons. A lot of the IACs purchased have been abuses by people in the corporate structure who have taken advantage of those IACs to spin forward earnings they've made. For a hockey player, for an author, for an artist like Ken Danby, I think it's, or an entertainer like Al Waxman, I think it's a realistic thing to give these people a chance to keep them in Canada. Give them not a break and not a big edge over the other taxpayer, but just acknowledge that they have a peculiar career. That's all we've asked. 10 years ago, we went to the government. They said, well, you can't have corporations. Even though the Sazio case is the law of the land, you can't have corporations. You can't deduct fan mail. Daryl Sittler, you spend $5,000 a year answering fan mail and putting stamps. You can't deduct that. We know you take your car out to a lot of places to do charitable purposes. You can't deduct your car. We say, why? Because you've got the IACs. Now they're saying, well, you can't deduct it. You can't use a corporation. You can't deduct your fan mail. You can't deduct your lawyer's fees. That's when I'm really concerned. But the bottom line is, they've always said the IACs are the reason for their position, and now they've taken those away. And from my point of view as an advisor to athletes, professional athletes, the Blue Jays, I'm as worried about the Blue Jays and the Expos as I am concerned about the hockey players, because I don't think there's any chance that Gary Carter can stay in Montreal. I don't think there's any chance the Blue Jays will ever sign Ron Guidry.
While on the subject of Sittler, is any other reason he might want to leave? We've been hearing the reports
Only
again.
Several hundreds. If I had to touch on the one thing that has disturbed Daryl Sittler more than anything else in the last 2 years, and I consider myself a friend of Daryl's as well as his lawyer, the Boschman incident, I think, has bothered Daryl Sittler more than anything else that's happened to him in the last 2 years. Boschman reveres Daryl Sittler. Sittler's the captain. Boschman goes to him and says, what am I supposed to do? I have certain beliefs. I believe in Christ as my Savior. I'm a born-again Christian. Is that bad? And Daryl has taken that position forward to management and has been shrugged off. I think he's very disappointed, very disillusioned. I think Daryl Sittler is closer now to, not for tax reasons, leaving Toronto than he's ever been before. But I underline the Boschman incident as more crucial because of the type of man Daryl Sittler is.
Underline how close to leaving?
It wouldn't surprise me if we've seen Daryl Sittler for the last time in a Leaf uniform.
Tonight?
Tonight.
It's a strong statement, which we should pursue if we can. Can we pursue it at all with you or not? Yeah.
No. In fairness, Daryl has negotiated in the last year and a half directly with Harold Ballard on certain things because they felt that, or Harold felt that Imlach and I were confusing things for the team. I said, Daryl, make your own deals. And I'm just here to bounce ideas off. But I do know the Boschman thing has torn this young man apart, Daryl Sittler, just as severely as it has torn Laurie Boschman apart. It's a very devastating thing that I've seen happen.
Final question on the budget. Would you advise a player on the Canadian team who is your client to request a trade of the Colorado Rockies?
Oh, I don't think things have got that tough in Canada yet, even with the budget.
Wave the flag one last time, Al.
Nobody likes the flag any better than I do. You know how tough it is for me. Nobody cheers louder for Team Canada than I do. Nobody hurts more than I do. But I have to objectively say to these players, Buffalo isn't that bad.
Now back to Brian. Thank you, Al.
To repeat what Alan said, he wouldn't be surprised if Darryl Sittler has played his last game in a Leaf uniform tonight. Now, let's check on the Calgary Islander game, and we have John Wells standing by with a report on the action there.
Well, at the Corral in Calgary tonight, it was 3-3, and the Islanders coming back to tie the game. We've got Don Cherry in the coach's corner, and listening to Alan Eagleson talk, I thought we should give you a little bit of chance for rebuttal first on the budget.
Well, there's no rebuttal. If I had a son, I do have a son, and he was an NHL hockey player, and he come to me, he says, what'll I do, Dad? Will I stay here and lose money, or I'll go to the States? What would you do? You had a son, and I know where I'd go. I'd go to the States, so I agree with him there. There's no rebuttal. They only got 5 years to make it, and you have to make it while you can.
Religion in hockey.
Well, you know, again, I'm sticking up for somebody. That's a touchy thing to get into. But I think Harold, when he mentioned that, I think when he said that, there have been guys, and let's face it, and I'm a Christian, and I go to church every Sunday, and I don't take the Lord's name in vain, but there have been some guys that have got into that religion, and they were in Atlanta and that, and they changed their whole lifestyle, changed their whole game and everything. I think he just meant that as an offhand thing. Somebody jumped on it, and around, and all of a sudden it's blowing all up. I don't think he meant it as bad as it started.
Quickly, will Darryl Sittler be a Toronto Maple Leaf later this week? Or
well, I don't know. He tore his C off one time, and he was quitting there. I think he'll still be with the Leafs.
Hockey game tonight. Are you surprised by the outcome? Good game here.
Beautiful game tonight. This was old-time hockey tonight. Back checking, hitting. Both teams deserved the tie. It was a heck of a game.
Well, a good game tonight. The Calgary Flames had 7,200 fans at the Calgary Corral tonight, like they usually do for all of their games. And as we look at the Calgary Corral, and right next door, construction is underway on a brand new magnificent center. These pictures taken earlier this afternoon. This will be ready for the 1983 National Hockey League season and, of course, for the 1988 Olympics. Now let's go back to NHL control. Brian McFarland.
Well, John, here in the studio, we're still in a bit of a state of shock, I guess you must say, over what Alan Eagleson said to Dave Hodge during that interview, where he said, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Darryl Sittler has played his last game as a Toronto Maple Leaf tonight. There'll be a stampede around Sittler in that dressing room across the hall. We'll return with a final wrap-up in just a moment.
I've lost my crown, my people, my fortune, but I can still look smart. And I do. In my smooth shirt from Aero. Look at this collar. Perfection. And it's specially designed to stay perfect. I even get my exact sleeve length. What quality? Aero Smooth. Fit for a king at a price any ex-king can afford.
Aero Smooth. White and plain colors, just under $20.
You don't have to give up a fortune to look smart.
Hey, chicken here for Mr. Benny. Now cut that out, Fonzie. That's not just any chicken, that's Kentucky Fried Chicken. You mean it's like numero uno? That's right, it's the best tasting chicken there is. Hey, what's the matter? I even like the price. You know, as Rich Little, I can imitate a lot of people, but nobody can imitate the great taste of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Pick up Kentucky Fried Chicken. The Colonel's taste is best.
We have one final bit of news. Rick Martin, the scoring star with Buffalo for so many years, tried to come back with L.A., and he is retired tonight. Bad knees did him in just as they did Bobby Orr. We're going across the hall to talk to Darryl Sittler. And we'll look ahead to next week now and see what's up for you on Hockey Night in Canada. Here's the action lining up. Boston at Montreal, Minnesota at Edmonton, Colorado will play the Calgary Flames. It'll be Toronto at Winnipeg. So check your local listings for Hockey Night in Canada next week. So long, everybody, from our NHL Control Center in Toronto.
live on CBC. Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, Canada's name in beer since 1786. Brewers of Molson Export Ale. Canadian General Electric, 100 years of progress. Canadian Tire Dealers, with over 350 stores to serve you across Canada. And by Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one, right down the line. This program is protected by copyright and is intended solely for the entertainment and enjoyment of the viewing audience. Reproduction by any means, in whole or in part, without the expressed written permission of Hockey Night in Canada, is prohibited.
Hi, I'm Dale Howardchuk of the Winnipeg Jets. Next week, Hockey Night in Canada will present action from 4 games. At the Winnipeg Arena, it's the Jets hosting Toronto. The Boston Bruins will be in Montreal against the Canadiens. Minnesota meets the Edmonton Oilers, and the Colorado Rockies go up against the Calgary Flames. 4 great games next week on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada.
This is CBC. Liquid Bovril beef concentrate makes just plain beef meals beefier. It's easy. Add 1 hearty tablespoon of Bovril, the meat flavor maker, for each pound of ground beef. Then mix in and sizzle. Suddenly, simply, meat meals taste meatier, beefed up with the real beefy goodness of Bovril. Bovril beef. It puts more beef in a meal.
Sunoco hasn't forgotten about all the people whose cars still need a higher octane leaded gasoline to run their best. Now Lori Lee doesn't have to mix from 2 pumps when she fills up her truck. And Brian Scott's Sunbeam Tiger doesn't knock around town anymore. And Gary Payne's Chevy Wagon doesn't run on when he runs the kids to the rink. Sunoco's Premium Leaded is a blend of regular leaded and premium unleaded gasolines. It's at Sunoco's Leaded Blender Center. Because there's no car just like your car.